heard people say, well, I would vote Libertarian, but they can't win.
First and foremost, yes, we can.
57% of Americans say a third major party is necessary
for a healthy democracy.
The Libertarian Party is the fastest growing political party in America.
And we will be on the ballot
in all 50 states.
But winning the election isn't the only victory that the Libertarian Party can achieve in 2020.
Simply getting 5% of the popular vote will change the political landscape forever.
The game is rigged in their favor.
And 5% begins to break apart the wall between you
and the elites in Washington.
What happens if you come to the conclusion, as millions of Americans have, the parties are different? They're all same. The monetary policy stays the same. The welfare system stays the same. The foreign policy stays the same.
Breaking up the two-party system is the only way to spark real change in Washington.
All of America will hear libertarian principles
and realize that they were libertarian all along, and they didn't know it.
Remember,
the only way to waste your vote
is to vote for someone you don't believe in.
Regardless of what their vote total is, if these are the people who are saying what you believe, why don't you join them? If you're a libertarian or a true constitutional vote libertarian, make your vote count.
If you live in a red or blue state, the dominant party is going to win no matter what.
Voting for Jo Jorgensen for president will contribute to bringing more choices into our political system.
A vote thrown away is voting for the same people and the same parties who created this problem and made it worse.
Will you join me?
Will you fight with me?
Will you fight
for real change?
For real people? I'm Dr. Jo Jorgensen, and I approve this message.
You may have heard people say,
I promise I'll get better. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everyone? Libertarian Dave here. Welcome to the show. My partner in crime, obviously, is MIA. I am ready for the party, chilling out. First time I have streamed live to 3 platforms at the same time. So we're going to see how this works out. I should be live on Twitch, which is... on Twitch, I am Libertarian_Dave, and Facebook, which is just Libertarian Dave, the same as it is on YouTube, Libertarian Dave. So I am streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch all at the same time. First time ever. Should be fun. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, just threw my banner back there for just temporary. I've been just playing with stuff here, so probably... let's see. Let's go with we'll go with the debate stage. We'll do the debate stage for now. See how that goes for now. So I don't have high expectations. I'm just saying I don't have really high expectations. You know, I was getting into some. We got some issues going on in El Paso once again. If any of my El Pasoans are here, give me a shout out, give me a thumbs up, say hi. So there's somebody funding advertising to try and reelect some incumbents back into our city council and stuff. I mean, spending some money because they got television advertising going on and everything, and it's obviously political, right? Because they're just, oh, our leaders have done such a great job. You know, we need to encourage them or something. I'm like, okay, but then they're not claiming who it is. So nobody knows who's paying for these ads or anything, and you can't trace the money. It's called dark money. It's called dark money. So look it up. Dark money is political money that can't be traced. So it's like this magical millions that just come out of nowhere and does advertising and stuff for political campaigns. So, hey, Practical, yo, what's up? He'll be here, man. He's on his way, I suppose. I don't know. Let me message him and see what's up. So yeah, did you see what was going on, Practical? Oh, the information, Federal Information Act. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know Aaron Montez, who's I think running for District 7. He's a former reporter. He is getting with the DA. He's going to get with the DA, and he's also going to check with the TEC, the Texas Ethics Commission, to see because I know when I was running for state senate, I know all of my advertising had to have a disclaimer on it that says who was paying for this advertising. So I think they're trying to use some kind of loophole by just making it like a blanket thing, like, oh, all of our leaders in El Paso are doing so good, because they're getting beat up here in El Paso for, because they're trying to play the middle ground in El Paso when it comes to the coronavirus. So they're half lockdown and half mask mandate and then sort of not. And, they're trying to make everybody happy. And basically what they're doing is making everybody angry. So, they're basically just dividing this even more and making the city even more angry at them. So it's pretty bad. What's up, Jordan? How's it going, man? Yeah. So yeah, I was in the mayor actually said I should email him about my question. Because I had a question about, me and Evolve were talking about how people were coming over from Juarez and getting tested because it costs like a couple $100s or something to get tested in Mexico, but over here it's free. So saying they were crossing the border and then getting tested for free. And that's why our positive rates have spiked. And I was like, no, it kind of makes sense. So I just was asking about that, and they said to email them. So it led the charge. Yeah, you did, Kid Play. You led the charge on shutting down bars and throwing away the Constitution. So, wait a second. I have it queued up. I have it queued up on PBS. So whenever it does come on, I will definitely throw it over to the debate. Unless y'all have a better preference on where to watch it, I was going to watch it on PBS just to annoy Evolve. So let's see what's up with him. Let me see if I can see if he wants to jump on StreamYard as an interviewer. He said he's gonna be here 6:25-ish. He's got to make a few stops. So arrangements. Oh, they just closed down all the parks and centers, and it says business will have to come next week if cases keep rising. Bases. Oh, okay. So not only bars but parks are getting shut down too. So that's where Evolve is he's trying to deal with that little thing. So Evolve might just lose his business, Kid Play. I mean, because of these government shutdowns. How do you feel about that? It's just the price we have to pay to ensure the safety of the citizenry, right? Spoken like a true fascist. Oh, this should be fun. I don't know what she's saying. I'm buffering? Oh, I was worried about that. I was worried if I was going to start having some problems because of streaming to 3 different places. So let me know if that keeps happening. If it doesn't clear up, I'm going to have to do something. Let me close some stuff. Facebook is always, that's probably what it was Facebook. So, because Facebook is seriously, and then let me watch it myself. Hopefully I don't get no feedback with this. Apologize for that. Cool, no sound. No, I'm not buffering. Looks pretty good to me. Right? Right? That looks weird. Anyways. Okay. So where were we? He has a backup plan. He will be all right. We got to stop the spread. Not going to happen. Okay, cool, man. So, yeah, it's been interesting. So I've been dealing with that today. What else, man? I had some other stuff I was going to talk about prior to this debate. So on Twitter, I don't know if y'all noticed, but on Twitter, there is I think I shared it. I don't know if y'all follow me on Twitter. I am Dave Libertarian on Twitter. and they have. Here, let me share this with you guys first. So that's where I am on Twitter. Hey, look, it went to all three places too. That's pretty cool. So I haven't got anybody from Facebook or Twitch yet. So, all right, but on Twitter. So just to keep y'all updated, I don't know if you noticed, but 25 votes were in on the last poll that we did, and Joyner Lucas is a star. I don't think it was retweeted enough to be accurate, but we're going to go ahead and roll with Joyner Lucas is a star. I'll show you the poll. Put this up. Get rid of that. Share the screen. There you go. Jordan Lucas. Oops, there you go. Is a star. 68% said yes. 32% said no. Joyner Lucas, I guess, is a star. I don't have no idea who Joyner Lucas is. I was just helping Evolve out. So, but on my Twitter, if you notice, I shared a link to, I don't know what this is, but oh, Jo Jorgensen actually tweeted about 50 Cent too. Did y'all see this one? This is pretty cool. She's like, hey, leave 50 alone, man. He all right. He just want to keep more of his money. It's the same thing I said when we talked about this. It's crazy. It's weird. I don't want to get into too much right now because I'm waiting for Evolve to get here. So Evolve should be here in a few minutes. We'll get started on this debate. Hey, did you all see the thing that I posted? I also posted a tweet. I thought it was going to get more traction, but I honestly think I got censored. It was about if you divide 2020 by 666, you get the text to donate number for Joe Biden. Spain. It's been bugging me because it pops up on my Twitter feed all the time now, and it's bothering me. I see this number all the time, bothering me. So, what's the NBA walkout? So, I should do a poll right now. I'm gonna do this poll right now. If y'all are tracking on me on Twitter, I'm gonna do a poll right now. What will be the bigger dumpster fire? What is the bigger dumpster fire? Dumpster fire tonight. What's the bigger dumpster fire tonight? Eagles versus Giants. And I'm an Eagles fan. Or the second presidential debate. Ooh. There you go. I'll leave it up for one day. Boom. There it is. The bigger dumpster fire. Go and vote. What is the bigger dumpster fire tonight? Eagles versus Giants. Why am I leaving the screen? Oh, because of this thing. And then I'm getting all blurry and stuff. That's irritating. All right. Still looks good. Still looks good. So what else has been going on? It's weird. I had like stuff I wanted to talk about, and now I'm drawing a blank. Like I have no idea Oh, you know what? I do know. I'm saving videos, man. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? Oh, look, wait a minute. So I want to start this thing off. I'm just going to do some education for you. The first video I want to show when I start this thing off, I'm going to show, it's kind of a summary of, I don't know if I showed it before, but the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan nonprofit that used to manage the presidential debates and bailed out on it. And the speech that they give, give me 1 second. The speech, it's old. It's an old video. So it's 10 minutes long, but it's 1988. That was when the last nonpartisan, which is an unbiased organization, ran the debate. So since then, it's been ran by the bipartisan Commission on Presidential Debates, which is a joint effort of the Republican and Democratic Party to suppress your votes and suppress who you see and who you choose to vote for every year by not allowing anybody else on the stage. See, there's a lot of stuff. So Jo Jorgensen talks about this. So Jo Jorgensen, Vermin Supreme, just liked one of my tweets. So, she says that she was saying, because they asked her about, she was on an interview with Fox this morning or this afternoon, and they asked her why she was not going to be on the debate stage, and they said, she's got 5% of the vote already. She's polling at 5%, so she's now got ballot access in all 50 states. So if we continue, if she actually, gets 5% of the vote at the polls November 3rd, then that locks in ballot access and party status for the Libertarian Party for the next election. So we don't even have to worry about ballot access the next election. Boom, 50 state ballot access for the Libertarian Party. Basically gives us like a major party status for the next election. But anyways, so she's polling high enough to where she's on the ballot in all 50 states, which is good enough for the Federal Election Commission, but it's not good enough for the Commission on Presidential Debates. The Commission on Presidential Debates says that you have to have 15%. You have to be polling at 15%. So first of all, she's not even in the polls that they count for the 15%, first and foremost. So it's literally impossible for her, because it's impossible to poll at 15% in a poll that you aren't even listed in. Like I just listed a poll right now on Twitter. It says, what's the bigger dumpster fire, the New York Giants or the Eagles versus Giants or the presidential debate? You notice that, like Libertarian Dave's stream is not listed on there. So it's impossible for me to get a vote on that. Otherwise, I'm sure y'all probably would vote that my stream is probably the bigger dumpster fire. But that's cool. That's cool. So 15, and then even if she was included in the polls, here's the thoughts on 15%. This is why 15% is ridiculous. Gary Johnson was polling at 13.6% in 2016. So that's the reason why they're not adding her to the polls this year, because she's a better candidate than Gary Johnson was. And Gary was polling at 13%. So she would be polling at over 15%, and they would have to let her on. So that's why they're not even putting her in the polls, because they're scared. But that's beside the point. To be polling at 15% in a three-way race is ridiculous. That's half as many votes as you need to win. Think about it. That would be like requiring you to be polling at 50% if in a two-way race. That's how stupid it is. Half the votes you need to win, or 25% in a two-way race. My bad. So, I mean, polling at that, and this ain't even real votes. These are just polls. It's crazy. So, but let me show you this quick video. It is the League of Women Voters. I don't really want y'all to watch all 10 minutes of it, but I think she kind of hits on the important stuff at the very beginning. So we will go with that, and we'll see what's up with that. So if you haven't seen this video, it's interesting.
League of Women Voters announced they were withdrawing their sponsor.
Be happy to answer questions. The decision I'm here to announce was not an easy one to tell people about the issues at stake in elections. To open lines of communication between the electorate and candidates for public office. Beholden to no political party, the League has for 68 years.
68 years.
For the even-keeled information voters need around election time. Soon after its founding, the League got into the business of bringing candidates and experts together in public to discuss and debate various positions on various issues. These forums were held at the local and state level in meeting halls, churches, synagogues, and schools, and eventually they were held on radio.
Let's go through the history. I'm going to try to fast forward to.
The elections became the time when television's potential as a campaign.
Let me just skip halfway through, see what she's talking about.
We had to sign. The agreement had been reached by the campaign chairman, and it spelled out everything. Between themselves, the campaigns had determined what the television cameras could take pictures of. They had determined how they would select those who would pose questions to the candidates. They had determined that the press would be ready.
I need to back up a little bit here because she's getting to the
on September 28th, just 2 weeks before the debate, with an agreement we were told we had to sign.
So they submitted this agreement to them. What happened to it?
Throughout these negotiations, I asked that the campaigns open the door to the League. I was certain that the voters' interests would be better served if there were a third party in the room.
Yeah, Evolve's going to be here tonight, Inspired. He's on his way. He's just running a little late. They're going to shut down the parks on him, so he's got some hoops he's got to jump through.
Out of their discussion. Representatives of the two campaigns came to us on September 28th, just 2 weeks before the debate, with an agreement we were told we had to sign. The agreement had been reached by the campaign chairman, and it spelled out everything. Between themselves, the campaigns had determined what the television cameras could take pictures.
This is what the two campaigns, the Republican and Democratic campaigns, were telling the League of Women Voters that they had to agree to in order to continue sponsoring the debates.
They had determined how they would select those who would pose questions to the candidates. They had determined that the press would be relegated to the last two rows of the hall. They had determined that they would pack the hall with their supporters. And they had determined the format. The campaign's agreement was a closed-door masterpiece. The agreement was a done deal, they told us. We were supposed to sign it and agree to all of its conditions. If we did not, we were told we would lose the debate. It's clear that the campaigns wanted the League's stamp of integrity on a shoddy product. Obviously, we have been presented with campaign demands before. We have agreed to some, and we have challenged and negotiated others. But never in the long history of the League of Women Voters have two candidates' organizations come to us with such stringent, unyielding, and self-serving demands. In Winston-Salem, which you know was not a League of Women Voters debate, they went so far as to insist on reviewing the moderator's opening comments. It turned out that the League had two choices. We could sign their closed-door agreement and hope the event would rise above the manipulations, or we could refuse to lend our trusted name to this charade. The League of Women Voters is announcing today that we have no intention of becoming an accessory to the hoodwinking of the American public.
That is the famous quote right there. We will not become an accessory to the hoodwinking of the American public. And this was in 1988, people. This was the end of the honest debate in America. This is when our political system took a nosedive. When the duopoly, the Democrats and Republicans, began to own the election system, where they consolidated power and nobody else had a shot. When the League of Women Voters, a honest, nonpartisan, nonprofit, was in control of the debate process, it was kept honest, it was kept fair, and it was open to the American people. So the American people could see what was going on. There was no, basically what's happening now is just a show. It's a sideshow. It's an act. And that's what, so in this date right here, October 3rd, 1988, the date that this was announced, was the end of our debate system as it is now.
Under these circumstances, the League is withdrawing its sponsorship of the presidential debate scheduled for mid-October in Los Angeles. On the threshold of a new millennium, this country remains the brightest hope for all who cherish free speech and open debate. Americans deserve to see and hear the men who would be president face each other in a debate on the hard and complex issues critical to our progress into the next century. In closing, let me issue this challenge. The League of Women Voters is urging you, George Bush, and you, Michael Dukakis, to rise above your handlers and to agree to join us in presenting the fair and full discussion the American public expects of a League of Women Voters debate. Thank you. Now we have to answer questions. Yes.
Are you suggesting that the campaigns are trying to turn this into a setup?
Needless to say, George Bush and Dukakis did not rise above their handlers and did not move forward with the debate.
For a soundbite or something like that? What is it that they're trying to do here?
He's asking if are you suggesting that they're trying to use the debate as a soundbite. That's exactly what it is now. It's nothing but an hour. What we're going to see in 30 minutes is an hour and a half commercial for the Democrat and Republican division of the United States of America. The divided states of America. That's what we're going to watch, is the further division of our country by the Democrats and the Republicans for an hour and a half soundbite. So
basically, they've squeezed all the risk out of the debate. And one of the reasons we always sponsor debates was that we could put on a nonpartisan forum that was not under the control of the campaigns. The debates became basically the last event left where there was any risk for the candidates. There was someone in front, yes.
How does what the campaigns delivered to the League change what television viewers would see and hear when Bush and Dukakis?
This is interesting because I want to hear, I haven't listened this far in. I want to hear what they're talking. They're saying, how is it going to change for television viewers? So he's asking, how is this going to change for what are people going to see now in the debates now that the League of Women Voters is out and the campaigns are now controlling the debates? What are we going to see now? So let's see what her answer is.
Face off in Los Angeles, or if
back up a little bit.
Sometimes what you see.
I won't do that again since we're going to get buffering all the time now.
Dukakis face off in Los Angeles, or if they still would.
Sometimes what you see on the screen isn't what's going on behind the scenes. So the public might not realize how much of the debate is under the control of the campaigns. I would speculate that this year you might get an invitation to win the voters' debate. By 1992, you probably would get either no debates or something far more canned than you'll get this year.
Far more canned.
Someone else is now going to step forward and sponsor this debate at this time and in Los Angeles at the same date. Do you think the National Commission, for instance, is going to turn out to be the sponsor of the same debate?
Well, you can ask the commission that question, but the agreement we will not sign says that if you don't sign this, we'll go to another sponsor. That's
Hey, sorry, Inspired. What's going on, man? Uncle owned a bar in a small community, hired 17 people, 40% of the workers, huh? Wow, it's a tiny, small town. Everyone is out of business and that community is suffering. He's living with my family. He's not going to be able to reopen no time soon, if at all. Lost wages, employees, service, beer, building funds are just a few things he lost in that just 9 days. And that's caused by government, man. COVID didn't do that. COVID didn't do that. It is government tyranny and the sheep that follow it. I mean, that's what it is. The United States is becoming the divided states of sheep. You got a group of sheep that follow the Republican red guys, and then you got the sheep that follow the Democrat blue guys over here, and whatever they say they follow. And that is what fascism is. I got an argument today about a guy that the difference between nationalism. I was like, nationalism is not a good thing. Nationalism leads to fascism. So saying Trump is a nationalist is not a good thing. I mean, then people are getting pride in your country and patriotism mixed up with nationalism, and that's not true. This government power is it's ridiculous, man. And to me, I'm not scared, but it's scary, and I apologize, Inspired. It sucks that this is what America has come to. You think your uncle, if any country in the world, he should have the freedom to keep his doors open and serve a beer to somebody, it would be in the United States of America. If you think it was any state in America, you would be able to do that, it would be in Texas. I don't know if you're in Texas or not, Inspired, but it's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable what I have lived long enough to see this country turn into. Just people that just roll over and let the state walk all over them. So basically all the business owners and stuff are going to vote for Trump, thinking that it's not his fault, even though it is. I mean, he could have simply forced every state to abide by the Constitution, because that's what the government's job is to abide by the Constitution. What is a leader to do but defend and support that Constitution? And I'm still waiting for somebody to send me a link to where in that Constitution it says you have the authority to confiscate people's rights in an emergency. People try to use that. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Oh, but government doesn't grant you the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Government only defends that right. And it cannot defend that right against a virus. It defends that right against enemies, foreign and domestic. And no, a virus is not an enemy. It is a natural occurrence in the world. So, I'm just arguing with myself here. So I apologize, Inspired. I hope everything works out for you, man. I'll keep you in my prayers. Tell your uncle, I hope everything works out, man. I hope this thing blows over. And I hope everything blows over, man. He can get his doors back open and we can get moving again, man. It's just, this isn't right. The virus would have done enough damage. I have no doubt if the government hadn't stepped in, the virus would have had a major impact. If the government wouldn't mandated anything, if they would have just been like, hey, there's a bad virus out there, you might want to reduce your reduce the amount of people in your establishments, get some spacing, force, make people wear masks. The government not make them wear masks, but the government recommending to businesses to have people wear masks or make people to wear masks, stuff like that. The government recommending stuff, government recommending private citizens to do things is a totally different thing than mandating it and make it by law. And the thing is honestly, I think the government made it worse, because as soon as they made it political, then they divided the country on it. So now you got people that just refuse to wear masks or refuse to do anything because it's now a political thing. If it hadn't become political and hadn't become divisive, hadn't become red versus blue, like everything else in this freaking country has to be divided amongst people. If it hadn't happened that way, then the community leaders could have came together and actually said, hey, church leaders and civic leaders and business leaders and stuff like that could have came together and say, hey, you need to wear a mask. We need to get some social distancing, restaurant owners. Hey, I'm going to space my tables out. And, community leaders could have came together and probably had a better effect than what the government's doing. Because now, they're locking people down and stuff, and now people are just having gatherings just to defy government. Matthew says this would be a tough debate to get through tonight. But I'm sorry, Inspired, man. Let us know if we can do anything for you. We can run like a GoFundMe campaign or something. I don't know. Cashapp Friday for you or something, man, for your uncle. So get with Evolve. Shoot me an email, marino4elpaso@gmail. Let me know if there's something we could do. We're going to do a 24-hour stream on Tuesday, November 3rd, the election day. And maybe we can do something for you then. Have an hour where people can donate to help your uncle out or something, man. I feel bad because it's just ridiculous. That's government caused that. And now they want to bicker about who's going to get stimulus. So you're taking away people's business. You're taking away their livelihoods, and now you don't want to pay them for it. Crazy, man. But let me see what else she's talking about here. Finish this up.
And did you in fact raise sufficient money to put on the debate?
We have raised sufficient money to put on the debate. We've waited this long because, as I said, it was only at the end of last week we received the agreement. We attempted to negotiate terms within the agreement, and we were told that you either sign this agreement or you don't do a debate.
Are both campaigns equally at fault in your judgment here?
The agreement was signed by the chairman of each campaign.
What is specifically that you object to that is in their proposal that you think would be bad?
I did outline several objections in my statement, but basically the campaigns have dictated who will ask the questions, how the questions will be asked, how the cameras will be placed, what kind of photographs the cameras can take, who will sit in the hall, and where the press should be located in the hall.
That's it, man. It's crazy, I tell you. So I wanted to share that one because there was another one I had.
Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. What it will not be is a third candidate on all ballots across the country and all 50 states.
Oh, this is the
talking about the 2020 Libertarian candidate. The first time we've seen a woman receive the Libertarian nomination. Joins us right now, Jo Jorgensen. Professor Jorgensen, very good to have you. You're not there. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm more concerned about the American voter than the Libertarian Party because I would be the only alternative for people to see. We keep hearing it's two old rich white guys, but that's the least of it. The biggest problem is they both want to spend their money. They both want to make our decisions. Neither one has an answer to the crushing healthcare problem, and neither one is going to bring the troops home. So I can see why they.
Hey, Kid Play, nobody was laughing at you. Nobody was saying it's your fault. And if people would have listened the first time, the number still would have gone up because it's a virus. There's nothing that we can do that's going to stop this thing from spreading. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to spread eventually. Eventually you got to come outside and you're going to get sick. Eventually you have to come in contact with other people. Eventually you're going to come in contact with somebody who has it. Eventually everybody's going to get it, or we're going to get a vaccine, one or the other. I'm not taking the vaccine. So you're either going to get sick, you're going to get the vaccine and not get sick, or get the vaccine and get sick. So those are your options. But removing people's livelihoods, taking food off of their table, 96-year-old lady dies of depression after surviving coronavirus. So this is the things that you're okay with, though. The death from depression, the death from suicide, the death from abuse of alcohol and stuff that's caused by losing your job and not being able to provide for your family, you know, all that, the loss of livelihood and loss of homes, people being evicted, can't pay their mortgages, losing their houses, losing their dreams and their businesses and stuff. These are all things that you're okay with, though, right, Kid Play? This is okay as long as we don't get the sniffle or the cough or the virus, right? As long as we don't get sick and possibly die. I think it's got, what, a 3% mortality rate? You know. But I tell you what, the shutdown of the economy has like a 90% mortality rate. Everybody is affected by it.
Don't want me on stage.
You know, you did reach the qualifications of the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, with 5% of the vote to be, I don't know, 50 state ballots, but the debates require you to be polling at 15%. So good enough for the FEC, not good enough for the debate commission. Are you angry at the commission?
Well, but let me interrupt you there. I wasn't even included on the polls that I needed to score at 15%. I think what happened was last time Gary Johnson got to 13.6%, and they thought, you know, that's dangerously close. So this year, let's not even put her in the polls. Now, of course, I'm on some polls, but not the polls needed to get into the debate. So it was impossible from the start for me to be on the debate stage.
All right, now, you have an eclectic background. You're a successful businesswoman, an entrepreneur. You are a lecturer at Clemson University. I should fully disclose, you teach my son. He attends your class, your psychology class. So I don't know how that's going to go. We'll see how that goes. But I want to get that out there. But let me ask you, though, Professor, the battle of third-party candidates has always been that they simply take away from one or the other main candidates. I know you said that that's not the case, but we have seen examples in certain battleground states where people like
Matthew, we're going to help you get through it, man. We'll help you get through this debate.
Would have gone, let's say, to Al Gore that year, and do make a difference that way. But that's about the best they can hope for. What do you say?
Well, what I say is I hope I can make a change. And people have asked me about being a spoiler, and the only way I could be a spoiler is if the other two weren't doing their jobs. You know, President Trump came in, he said, I'm an outsider, I'm a businessman, I know how to balance the budget, I'm going to cut the deficit and the debt. And he's done none of that. In fact, we've seen the debt go up higher than under Obama. So had he done what he said he was going to do, then he wouldn't have to worry about me.
Let's talk about where you stand on some of the key issues. True to libertarian thinking, you really are against over government involvement or, you know, pushing their thumb on the will and the freedom of people. But you raised some concerns when that included your opposition to lockdowns and even vaccine mandates. Are you saying on the vaccine mandate issue that if one were to come up to deal with COVID-19, you don't think people should take it, or what did you mean by that?
Well, I'm saying it should be up to the choice of the individual. Now, let me mention, I vaccinated my children when they were young, and my daughter has vaccinated her son. However, if other people don't choose vaccinations, then they shouldn't be forced to by the government. And a lot of things that libertarians talk about, how we should be allowed to use any type of drug, including marijuana, that we should be able to gamble, or people should be able to engage in sex work. Those are all things that the government is keeping us from doing. But to have a discussion about the government forcibly putting something into our body is egregious, and I'm surprised it's even going on in a supposed free country. I mean, I'm surprised
there he is.
The discussion of having something forced into our bodies.
But should that be mandated in schools? There are stores.
I promise you guys I'm here.
He's here.
Parents opt not to give their kids
I'm just behind the picture. Don't worry, people. I'm here.
Oh, he's. I know. I think we would move back and would have more space. But then that's the whole point was to get us further away from the green space.
Exactly.
And this is
And
exactly
you'll need
the
some
difference
stretchy
between
hands
libertarians
there.
and the other two parties. The other two parties gives us
Oh yeah, we
one
could
size
just
fits
we
all.
could just
So,
do this one.
Let's say I want vaccines and my neighbor doesn't. We each have to pick our own candidate, donate money, get out and vote, get all our funds to vote, and then on
Libertarian
election day,
presidential
one of us is going
nominee
to
Jo
win, and one of us is
Jorgensen
going to lose.
on Fox.
Yeah, she's on Fox 4:55 Eastern time. So literally 5 minutes before prime time.
Look at that.
She was like this
So
close
close.
to prime time.
So close.
So close to prime time.
School that doesn't require vaccines, and that's one of the reasons why
Good
people are
for
so
her.
polarized is because we're having to vote
She
on
killed it.
everything.
Yeah,
It's getting
good
to the
for her.
point where pretty soon they're
Spitting
going to
it all
be
out,
asking us, do we all want to
super
be
fast.
vegetarians or do we want to be steak eaters? And I would suggest that a decision so personal as vaccines is something as personal as what you eat.
Now, you're a professor as well. You're quite aware at Clemson, I guess they're going to look at.
His son is
virtual
actually in her
classes
class at
after
Clemson.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
She was like, really?
This is spreading.
That's
Do
funny.
schools push that too far? Do you think that virtual classes versus in-person classes, it should be up to students and or their parents to decide?
There you go. Virtual classes.
Yeah,
and-
education is a local issue. It should be decided among parents, teachers, and students. And one thing I would do is get rid of the one-size-fits-all Department of Education from Washington. And I heard President Trump earlier telling schools, you really should go back in the school. But, it varies. The needs of rural Appalachia are much different than the needs of downtown New York City, much different than the needs of Arizona. And it should be up to the localities to decide what they want to do, not the federal government. And as president, I wouldn't even give
Please welcome them all.
Let's say you were to become.
This is
Budsville, what's up?
What is up?
Oh, I like your picture, man.
The way Switzerland operates is a successful.
That feels like
Is
this
that-
is going to be a tough.
Is that Buds? Is that a bunch of Buds in your picture?
It's going to be a tough debate to get through.
We're gonna help him though. We're gonna help him get through it.
Yo, Dave, have a good cast. I'm leaving for the night. Oh, you just haven't started yet, though.
No, it's 10 minutes.
Oh, inspired?
Well, you mentioned banking. I'm looking towards
I
Switzerland
came
as a
into
model
the
for our
chat.
national defense. And what I've
came
said is I want to turn America into one giant Switzerland.
Armed and neutral.
We're in 150 different countries around the world, and we spend more than the next 7 countries.
Oh,
combined.
shoot. Kid play been going off.
We're just the money, but
Oh, you gotta
it's
read
actually
Inspired.
making us less safe, not
Oh,
more
that's
safe as
funny,
we saw with
man.
9/11.
Inspires Uncle
I want
Austin's
to be-
business.
Oh, shoot. What was he? What type of business?
A bar.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
When it comes, not say intruding on conflicts, I get that, but to bear responsibility or help the rest of the world, given its sheer
It's a little
size.
small town. Oh, wow.
I would say that because we're a larger company or a country, that's even more reason to be neutral because we are seen as a bully elsewhere. And even President Trump has been touting
We're the
his peace
terrorists.
agreement. Not everybody is happy with it. It doesn't matter who you pick; somebody is not going to be happy with it. So that's why I want to remain neutral. And also, for instance, us being over in the Middle East. Now, let me give a disclaimer: there's absolutely no reason, no justification for flying planes into buildings. But we made it
Hey,
easier.
I am
on
sorry to
Bill
hear that,
because he went
Inspired.
to his people there and he said,
That
"Look,
is not the
they
response,
promised they
Kid
would be
Play.
gone. They said
That
they'd be
is
here
not it, man.
temporarily. They're still here. And oh, by the way, they're trying to take over
Kid
our
Play sounds like he's
religion and
caring more about being right
our laws.
than
And so
family
it's
and
much
lives.
easier
Come on,
to
dude.
convince them that they needed
That's
to
what I said.
attack us. Now, again, we can't stop every madman, but we shouldn't make it easier on them or for them.
Well, hello, everyone that's here.
I just saw someone on the ticker down here.
We're, they've got about 10 minutes before the debates start.
Poland's court rules unconstitutional a law allowing abortion of fetuses with congenital defects. Decision effectively bans terminating pregnancies. in cases where.
Strong defense for our shores. We need to absolutely defend our shores and defend our borders. However, there's no reason for us to be in France and Germany, Japan, and definitely not the Middle East. And I've been jokingly saying, we keep hearing how great France is, that they get 5-week vacations. Well, maybe we'd get 5-week vacations too if we weren't supporting their military and all the other militaries around the world.
Defend yourself.
Jo Jorgensen, the 2020 Libertarian presidential candidate, the first time that honor has gone to a woman in American history. We'll see how things sort out, Professor. Thank you very much.
Hang
All right,
on.
we'll be following.
First time in history, people.
Mhm. She his Toric. What is up, man? Welcome. Glad you made it.
Yeah, made it.
Better late than never.
I tell you what, man. Shoot, El Paso here. We're going back in shutdown, dude. Yeah,
Benzino caused all this.
It's crazy, man. Probably did. It's insane. Benzino. It's insane. I don't know if you heard, but and I messaged you, but yeah, they put out new mandates, new restrictions. Freaking parks, recreation centers, swimming pools, and libraries are now shut down and closed until further notice. So you cannot be out there. They said that they will be citing people. They will be citing people, and then he said,
Eddie Murphy.
I don't know who that is. They're going to on next week. He said, Mayor said that next week, pending.
I watched it. It was not good.
Yeah, he just said that.
I sent him a message too.
Yeah, and the mayor is just waiting for the governor to give him the okay to shut down El Paso. He said that he can't shut down businesses, but only the governor can. So once he get that in, then we'll have to. He said he'll make adjustments to the restrictions. But as far as his city parks and anything towards the city, that is in his hands. He's been chatting it up. So I'm making some moves and all that other good stuff. Other than that, how's everybody else doing? What's up, Jordan?
I can't figure out what to do. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, shutting it all back down. Exactly. So I'm sure that they will talk about that on today. They'll be talking about more COVID stuff. They'll be talking about more how they handle the COVID stuff. They'll be talking more about injustices and all that other good stuff.
So the mayor, right here, Mayor of El Paso, he messaged me, DeMargo.
Oh, DeMargo.
So I sent a message on his video chat thing. I was asking what you said earlier. Can someone verify or deny that the spike in cases is not due to border traffic, since the test is free here and costs money in Mexico?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I asked that question in chat and it got blocked, so I had to send it an instant message.
Oh.
And then the mayor messaged back, "Thank you for reaching out via Messenger. Please email us at email."
Well,
I think that's a robo
reply. Yeah. Yeah, they need to work on the
so you seen the thing where somebody had asked that question in a post, and it got nope. We ain't talking about that.
You gotta see if he'll come in on the stream.
Max
and
Max is back, man. He's been texting me all day today. Let me see. Yeah, let me see if he'll come on right now. Well, with the debate starting in 3 minutes.
This looks like Dave versus Evolved debate. Hey,
Dave versus Evolved debate.
Yeah.
I'll pwn this guy.
Oh no, not happening. Our mayor never opened them back up, but I think that's more of a budget reason.
Check it out.
Okay, KS
streaming to Facebook, Twitch.
Oh, you don't know three
and YouTube.
You got it, man. That's one of your perks of a StreamYard.
My $240 perk. I'm trying to use everything.
Hey, look at that.
That's
what's up. Hey,
get me an audience.
What's up, Buzzville? Cheers, man. Hey, you guys are coming on over.
I may have never opened them back up, but I think that's more.
Now, where are you at, KS?
Open what back up?
That's the state, the city.
Mayor never opened what back? Opened them back up.
Yeah, never opened them back up.
Parks, bars.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wait up! I gotta tell. I love these texts. Hi, it's Jackie from Jo Jorgensen. It's the first time I've got one. Oh yeah, I forgot
What channel are we
they're
watching
text
this
banking today. Oh man, I'm streaming for the debate.
6:58.
Oh, we need to get the
Yeah, Parks, Pools, and Houston. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we had them open.
Joe
Alright.
Bishop Henchman. What is this?
All right, see when it starts.
Voted. I haven't voted yet. When you voting? We're gonna vote tomorrow. We're going to vote tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we are live. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Apparently, we don't have no sound yet, so
No. Well,
I'll put Twitter reactions over here. Well, I got PBS up, so we're not going to see chat.
Why are we watching PBS? Why are we watching?
What's wrong with PBS?
Why are we watching? Yeah, I think you did that on purpose. There's no reason to watch it. They don't even have the comments, and they're censoring.
What? Censoring?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not allowing comments.
There's a difference between censoring and not allowing comments.
That's the same thing. The fact that they don't want comments, people to vote, is
they don't want that kind of negativity.
Censoring.
That's censoring. Yeah, they're censoring because they're PBS. They're PBS. They're the home.
Oh, I know.
They're
Exactly
the home of Paw Patrol and Daniel
Censorship.
Tiger. Daniel
why there's
Tiger
no
and Paw
sound.
Patrol and.
The Commission on the Presidential.
What channel would you like to watch it on?
We need to watch it on
Fox, your favorite?
On we need to watch it on a third party. There's tons of them, but never mind.
Funding for this program is provided by Consumer Cellular, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by contributions to your PBS.
Here we go.
Viewers like you. Thank you.
Here we go, people. Are y'all ready?
Yeah, KS, that's what I'm saying. They did get that stimulus package. Don't get me started. That's another thing.
How do you think she got paid?
That stimulus package.
She got that nice velvety shirt.
Yeah, right with my stimulus money.
Looked like they rolling StreamYard basic package too.
Joe Biden will be on stage at the Curve Event Center on the campus of Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. Just this week, the debate commission made a change in the debate rules. One candidate's microphone will now be muted while his opponent delivers an initial 2-minute-long answer at the start of each of 6 topic segments. Topics tonight, chosen by the moderator, are
OH. Well, we're here, people.
Race in America,
The Evolve
climate
and
change, national security, and leadership. The final debate has in the past.
Neither one of us need to be muted.
Policy, and the Trump campaign complained about the changes made as a result of the cancellation of the second debate, which the commission decided would have to be done virtually. This debate on the latest calendar date in recent history comes as the coronavirus infection rate is again rising across the United States.
It's going up, people.
After the president himself
Chris Buckeyes fan. He just went up on my top fan list.
There you go.
Like 3 spots. He's right above drama alerts now.
Oh, I haven't heard from drama.
I haven't heard from him in a while, man.
Hopefully he'd do a segment. Hopefully he'd do the segment on the stream. That 24 hours.
I know. I offered it to him. I haven't heard from him. So.
Our PBS NewsHour White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor.
What is this?
Who are these lunchboxes?
What is this? This is what PBS does. We need to get to another.
You ain't. Give me another channel.
Get to. All you gotta do.
Along with several voters linked in virtually from around the country.
Oh, see, we're gonna get some voter reactions.
All this stuff.
I like her hair.
With the Goku hair.
Her hair is cool.
She's looking like she's about to go Super Saiyan.
This one right here. Purple.
Super Saiyan.
Welcome to all of you. We are so glad to have you with us. In the little bit of time we have,
You like my shirt?
go to the debate.
I didn't see your Hawaiian shirt.
Relaxing today.
You chilling it out. I like it. I like it.
Casual Thursday.
I like
We
it.
can expect another all
I have casual life.
accusing Joe Biden
casual every day.
corruption through his son Hunter Biden. The president will also be vigorously defending his response to the coronavirus, as well as attacking the moderator, which he has already started to do.
And Elisa Desjardins just.
Buzzville said CBS.
Yeah, we don't know. No one wants to see this. No, we know exactly what the PBS is about. Anyone that's censoring these comments, I know exactly what they are about. The Evolve. I should have streamed it myself.
The candidates, President Trump and Joe Biden.
Right Side Broadcasting?
Right Side Broadcasting. At least they would have comments
Good
up.
evening from Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee.
Here we go.
I'm Kristen Welker of NBC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except
She's got some
right
very
now,
high
as we welcome
cheekbones.
to the stage former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
C-SPAN?
Here we go.
ABC?
And I do want to
They're
say a very
CBS.
good evening to both of you. This debate will cover evening to both of you. This debate will cover beginning of each section. Each candidate will have the beginning of each section. Each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted to answer my first question. The debate commission will then
Chat is
turn on
disabled for
their
this
microphone
live stream.
only when it is their turn to answer, and the commission will turn it
CBS
off
disabled.
exactly when the 2 minutes have expired. After that, both microphones will
We ain't
be
gonna
on,
need
but
chat.
on
We're gonna have our own
We're
chat.
going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say. And so with that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with
They're all
COVID,
disabled. They're
including
not all
record numbers
disabled.
here in Tennessee.
Anyone
And
that's
since the two of
got
you last shared a
20
stage, 16,000 Americans have died.
Oh, ABC's got-
Please be specific.
No,
How
they're
would you lead the
censoring.
country during this next stage
PBS
of the
style.
coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China.
The
It's a
Young
worldwide
Turks would be
pandemic. It's all
streaming
over the
and
world. You
not
see the
have.
spikes in Europe and many other places
They'll
right
just be
now.
streaming,
If you notice,
and they'll have
the
comments up.
mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality
Or
rate is
anyone
way
that's
down
got
and much lower than
19K
almost any
views,
other country.
viewers
And
or
we're
less.
fighting it, and we're fighting it.
They're not gonna be talking very like we are.
Nope.
And it's now
Who
gone.
is that?
There was a
Oh,
very big
U.S.
spike in
Today.
Texas. It's now gone. There was a
They'll
very
have
big spike
comments
in
on.
Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some
Right
spikes
there.
and surges in other places that will soon be gone. We have a vaccine
This one?
that's coming.
Oh.
It's ready.
This one? Yeah.
It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be
What?
delivered. We have
that's
Operation
good.
Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the hospital. I had it, and I got better. And I will tell you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some people could say it was a cure. But I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune. Whether it's 4 months or a lifetime, nobody's been able to say that, but I'm immune. More and more people are getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a
This is live
worldwide
commentary
problem.
on Fox
I've
News.
been
Only they
congratulated
can
by the
comment,
heads of
or
many
those
countries
that-
on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators, we're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world. It will go away, and as I say, we're
You just missed Trump saying how awesome he is.
Okay, former Vice President Biden, to you, how would you lead the country out of this crisis? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
200
He said he got special treatment. That's why he's not dead.
You hear nothing else I say tonight.
CNN don't have comments either.
Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially. Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as president of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day, and there are over 70,000 new cases.
And that's
per
Trump's
day.
fault.
Compared to what's going on in
The left
Europe,
is so weird,
as the
man.
medical journal said, they're starting from a very
They're
low
off the deep
rate.
end.
We're starting from a very high rate. The
People
expectation
really
is
believe
we'll
Trump
have
is responsible for killing people with
No,
coronavirus?
it's because of how he handled it.
now in the end of the year. If we just wore these masks,
That's
the
it.
president's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives.
Boom.
And we're in a circumstance where the president thus far still has no plan, no comprehensive plan. What I would do is make sure we have everyone encouraged to wear a
Trump's
mask all the time.
Encouraged.
Make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing. I would make sure that we set up national standards as to how to open up schools and open up businesses so they can be safe, and give them the wherewithal, the financial resources to be able to do that. We're in a situation now where the New England Medical Journal, one of the
He always looks
serious,
like
most
he's looking into
going
the
over
sun.
said for the first time ever,
They both got
that
beady
the
eyes.
way this president has
But he
responded
squinches.
That's why they're able to merge their faces together and make them look the same. Because they do kind of look the same.
I will end this. I will make sure we have a
Just
plan.
boom. He said he will end COVID.
Your comments, you talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Yes.
Is that a
Oh, shoot.
guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are two companies, I think, within a matter of weeks.
Gotta find
and
out
it
what
will
those
be
companies are.
distributed.
Oh, yeah, he's invested in it.
Companies?
Yeah,
Johnson &
he's
Johnson
already
is
keep an eye
doing
out.
very
Yeah.
well. Moderna
Put
is
some
doing
money on
very
that.
well.
That's what you
Pfizer is
do.
doing very well, and we have numerous
Trump's already
others.
invested
And
in
we
the
also
company.
have others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you because this is new information. You have said a vaccine is coming soon within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more.
The experts said we're going to be wearing masks up until 2022. What just happened?
Oh no.
Come
We have
on.
our generals lined up, one in particular that's the head of logistics.
That's good
And
stuff.
this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way,
If you do that, it takes 10 years. Like every other vaccine that we've ever came out with.
told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter. And he has.
They always trying to play emotion, man.
Winters are dark, man. They're cold and dark.
They are. It does get because of the sun. It's shooting the horizon now.
Dark. He said dark twice.
We're opening up our country. We've learned.
He also said you ain't black.
The disease, which we didn't at the beginning.
Why does he like to talk about dark
Bans
so much?
China
Darkness.
from coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately Europe. But China was in January. Months later, he was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, "Oh, I should have, moved quicker." But he didn't move quicker. He was months behind me, many months behind me. And frankly, he ran the H1N1 swine flu, and it was a total disaster. Far less lethal, but it was a total disaster. Had that had this kind of numbers, 700,000 people would be dead right now, but it was a far less lethal disease. Look, his own person who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said,
I know, right?
it was
I thought Biden said he's going to get rid of
It
it.
was horrible. We didn't know what we were doing. Now he comes up and he tells us.
Vote for
that-
Biden
Also,
if you want to
everything he
end
said, Every
coronavirus.
single move that he said we should make, That's what we've done. We've done all.
Because Trump's killing everybody with coronavirus.
Vice President Biden, your response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because he shut down access from China. And he did it late after 40 countries had already done that. In addition,
They ain't interrupting each other, man.
Sure
No. Nowhere near as entertaining as before.
No.
In China, trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent.
You know what's stupid about this is hindsight's 2020, right? You know, anytime you look back on something, yeah, of course you could see ways to make it better or ways it could have been done better looking back on it. But when you're actually in the process of doing it, you know what I mean? You got to make decisions and stuff based off of what knowledge you have in front of you. You know,
And he talks about this is all. Don't worry, it's all going to be over soon. Come on, there's not another serious scientist in the world who thinks it's going to be over soon.
Wash your hands.
I say over soon. I say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace.
this is the best hand sanitizer ever. See that?
People can't do that. By the way,
LP.org hand sanitizer. It kills everything, including tyranny.
and go away for a year and a half until it disappears. I can't do that. And because every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families and military families. Every meeting
It does. I smell that. I had a whiff.
it would be horrible to have canceled everything. I said, this is dangerous, and you catch it. And I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors.
You
great
beat it,
hospitals.
Trump.
And now
You the man.
It's the most vicious defeat the coronavirus has ever seen.
People recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't
99% of people recover.
I don't know about that.
I think it's pretty close. It's like 2 or 3% mortality rate. So he's pretty close.
99.
The mortality rate is really pathetic. I mean, it's like, the stuff is so freaking exaggerated. I'm tired of it. It's stupid. It's stupid.
We're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You
Jesus,
folks
Brian.
had an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning.
1% are learning to buy it.
You looking at camera.
Touch their out of habit where their wife or husband was. It's gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it because
You're killing more people by shutting down the country.
When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now, and what should they do about the danger?
Yo.
You say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your
Excuse me, I take full responsibility. It's not my
Trump has
fault.
the advantage because he's had it.
And you know what? It's
I
not
beat
China's
it.
fault that came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part.
It is China's fault, man.
Europe and ourselves.
Trump swears he's become one with the corona.
Knew it was coming. When it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry. It's going to go away. Be gone by Easter.
Don't worry about it. I got a guy. He's from New York. He told me it's gonna be okay. I told him it's gonna be okay. I ain't gotta worry about a thing. Just fucking yesterday, Manoli.
He thinks we are in control. We're about to lose 2.
What you need to do is you need to inject the hand sanitizer. Remember when he said that?
I was kidding with that, but just to finish this, when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. What Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing.
Oh, Pelosi.
Down in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said, this is a terrible thing. You're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even.
Whoa.
And because
Everybody
I was
calls you
closing it to
racist, Trump.
China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier. It just, Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of those things.
You certainly did. You certainly did.
I talked
Here we
about
go.
xenophobia
Getting hot.
in a different context. It wasn't about closing the border to Chinese coming to the United States.
All right, I want to talk about both of your different strategies to handle
He thought I shouldn't have closed the border.
El Paso Juarez, 11,061. That's out of 5 million people.
Let's talk about your different strategies toward dealing with this. Mr. Vice President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I'm saying is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country.
Whoa.
It's his ineptitude that caused the virus, caused the country to have to
Shutting down the virus.
Do that.
He's shutting down the virus.
How do you do that?
I like that.
for why they're concerned. Those other concerns are real. That's why he should have been, instead of in a sand trap in his golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what to do about the acts they were passing for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
You haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
Oh, no, I'm not shutting down the name, but there are, look, you need standards. The standard is if you have a reproduction rate in a community that's above a certain level, everybody says, slow up, more social distancing, do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums, do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open, give the people the capacity to be able to open and have the capacity to do it safely. For example, schools.
Trump looks like he don't even know what he's talking about. He's like, Joe, what are you talking about?
More teachers, more pods, and
he's a crop duster with Lysol. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's talk about schools. President Trump, please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that.
Shut up, Trump.
Talk about shutdowns.
You got the Lysol.
It's a duster.
Oh.
Look at what's going on in California. You look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Democrats.
I got props today.
He's bringing them all out, people.
Bringing the props.
And he supports all these people. All he talks about is shutdowns. No, we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also tested positive. By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people. I guess it's
little guy got it.
Let me follow up with you,
Yeah,
President Trump.
he's got a little guy. The little awkward guy at the remember his on his inauguration. His little dude look awkward, man. He's like, I'd rather be playing Minecraft.
What is your message to parents to worry that sending their children to school will endanger not only their kids but also their teachers and families?
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country.
Trump stayed with it.
Maybe if Trump actually listened to doctors and scientists, maybe COVID wouldn't be as bad. I don't think so. I think the government reaction just made it worse, but I think government reacting at all is what made it worse.
We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often.
Should have never closed the country to begin with, knucklehead, fascist, dictator, Emperor Palpatine, Trump Patine.
One person in our massive bureaucracy says we should close it down.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Simply not true. We ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We ought to be able to safely open, but they need resources to open. You need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business. You need to have, if you have a restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers so people cannot.
That stuff costs money, fool. Businesses can't afford to do that crap.
Testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact.
Especially after you've had them shut down for 9 months. You need to have plexiglass barriers between all of your players at practice. You need to be plexiglass bubbles.
There you go. Might be fun. Bubble
battle.
That, man. Bubble league, man.
Bubble league.
We at that. We that beer. We got a business run, people.
Bubble league. Gotta make it happen. Taking donations for Community Evolved Bubble League.
These are businesses with no money. Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic.
There you go.
These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. It was vibrant. It's dying. Everyone's leaving New York.
Take a look at what New York has done in terms of turning the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't.
You got everybody infected early.
They're all in the United States. And look at the states that are having such a spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states. They're the states in the Midwest. They're the states in the upper Midwest. That's where the spike is occurring significantly. But they're all Americans. They're all Americans. And what we have to do is say, wear these masks, number one.
Powerful statement.
Make sure we get the help that the businesses need, that has money's already been passed to do that. It's been out there since.
They've already agreed to steal that money from us. For our grandkids or great grandkids.
More than 40,000 people, 11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
about? Say spike. Take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do anything. It's been like a prison. Now it was just ruled unconstitutional. Take a look at North Carolina. They're having spikes, and they've been
Oh, did he mention the
and
Constitution?
getting killed
Yeah.
financially. We can't let that
Hey,
happen, Joe. You can't
they
let that
mentioned
happen.
you.
We have to open up.
about you.
We understand the disease. We have to
Don't you feel
protect our
special?
seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect especially our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems. And we will protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far. That's why we have so many cases.
Let me follow up with you before we move on to our next section. President Trump. this
That's
week
true. The more
told
people you
Anthony
test, the
Fauci
more
that
positives
he's
you're going to
an
get.
infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If
Oh.
you're not listening to them, who are you listening to?
I'm listening to
What is up, Argentina on Twitch? My first non-YouTube commenter.
There you go.
Appreciate it, man. Put that up there.
This is not going to be a problem.
Welcome, welcome, my friend.
Welcome.
Okay, he said this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that, I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew.
I just can't imagine what it would be like if Joe was on the stage, though, man.
But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
My response is that think about what the
This
president
is true.
knew in
No
January
testing,
and
no
told
cases. You want to get rid of coronavirus? Quit testing people for it, people.
virus to spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us. Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what?
Yeah, because they weren't panicking in Portland.
His folks went to Wall Street.
America's panic.
It's a really dangerous thing. And the memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond, and then we're
At the
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one, I
on.
don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it.
I have.
You have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of
Lot.
money.
Like 300 million.
You raise money, deals are made, you know. I could raise so much more money as president and as somebody that knows most of those people. I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would
Because I'm super powerful, because my ego is bigger than this room.
And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street.
Uh-oh.
Because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street.
Whoa.
Me. I could blow away your records.
Whoa.
Like you wouldn't believe. We don't need money. We have
Boom. Blow them away.
We beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that's used.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on.
Don't tell me about Wall Street. I have much more money than you.
Which is
I-
national security.
Because
I do want to start
my
with
wallet
security of
is
our
way
elections
bigger
and
than
some breaking
Joe's.
news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election.
Oh.
Those countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information.
They always are, and we influence other countries' elections too. And then if we can't influence the way we want, then we send troops over there to bomb the hell out of them or whatever.
Yeah, we gotta
Until we get,
put some.
yeah, because we want to make sure we get our version of tyranny in the other countries.
Any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American
Uh-oh,
elections,
tell 'em, Joe.
will pay a price.
You will pay.
They will
You hear that,
pay a
Russia?
price. It's been overwhelmingly clear.
Putin,
this
you hear
election,
that?
Won't even get into the last one. This election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learned that Iran is involved.
Oh shoot! Everybody's jumping on board.
I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty.
My wallet's actually kind of tiny.
World votes.
About it. I don't think he's talking a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hadn't said a word to Putin about it, and I don't know what he has recently said if
Trump
anything,
just-
to the Iranians. My
Trump
guess
like
is he
whatever.
probably
He ain't even
won't
taking
spoken
notes anymore.
to
He like,
the Iranians. But the point is this, folks: we are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian But that is not true. It never happened.
Is this the Evolve channel? Look, Joe, we don't talk conspiracy theories on Libertarian Dave, okay? Stop the conspiracy theory or I'm shutting this down. This is not the Evolve.
Oh,
It's Libertarian Dave.
Here we go.
When he's actually paying bounties to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan, when he's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO.
How about if you get the troops out of Afghanistan? You don't have to worry about bounties no more.
Bounty hunters out.
It's like Boba Fett.
Interferes with us will in fact pay a price because they're affecting our sovereignty.
Take that,
President Trump,
Putin.
same question to you. Let me ask the question. You're going to have 2 minutes to respond. For 2 elections in a row now, there has been substantial interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes.
Well, let me respond to the first part. As
The Putin part.
Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through.
Joe looks like I did. He's looking for his finance manager. Like,
hey,
yo.
You got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million, and someday you're gonna have to explain why did you get 3.5. I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now, about your thing last night, I knew all about that, and through John Ratcliffe, who was fantastic, DNI, he said one thing that's common to both of them. They both want you to lose because there has been nobody tougher than Russia. Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the sanctions,
He's a nationalist. I think all of them want him to lose.
What I've done with NATO, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra $130 billion, going to $420 billion a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold tank busters.
Yeah, she's doing a better job than what's his name on the last one, right?
On Russia than Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well during your.
Well, she's got the power of the mute button. She's got restriction.
Oh, that's true. That's
You
true.
handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are. But now, with what came out today, it's even worse. All of the emails, the horrible emails.
Oh, here we go.
The money that you were raking in, you and your family.
Here we go.
Lock him up.
You know he's
Lock
ready. On
him
it.
up.
He's ready. Joe's ready.
It should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family. But what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Woo! On the spot.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president.
You have to report that. That's a federal law.
In China, has
You take federal
a bank
money.
account with China, does business in China, and in fact,
This is
is
business,
talking about
though.
me taking
He's an
money.
international
I've not
businessman,
taken a single
so.
penny from any country whatsoever.
Who's lying?
Number one. Number two. This is a president.
Both of
I
them.
released all
Both of them are lying. Trump's gotten money. He's got business. He's got a hotel in Russia.
Released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels and all your businesses.
Bring them spirit. Bring it all out, Joe.
Now it's a party.
A golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return?
Oh, nice way to dodge it and throw it back in his court.
First of all,
Yeah.
I called my accountants.
It is.
Under audit. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it. And it'll show how.
He's been saying that for 4 years. I'm going to release them as soon as they're ready.
We're just simmering right now.
I know, right? He did it.
What did I pay?
They're both lying. They both taking money. They both taking bribes. They're the same, people. They're the same. It's like twin brothers arguing with each other.
They think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your account
Nobody told me that. Excuse me. And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep talking about $750, which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you, I prepaid millions. and
Not for
millions
president
of
filing
tax.
fee. Filing fee for president is like 10,000 or something like that. It goes up the higher up the ticket you are. Mine was $12.50. Imagine president's got to be like 10 grand.
Oh yeah, that's
$3 million,
okay.
Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10%.
Like you took money
to the big
too.
man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10%.
She said maybe you're not. So you're either going to have to say you're not the big man, you're the little man, or you're going to have to.
Loaded statement. It's a logical fallacy called a loaded statement.
Yeah, yeah.
Loaded
statement.
Deadline for when you're going to release.
I get treated worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because I have a lot of people in there deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly.
Let's see them tax returns. You see your 1040? You got 1040? Schedule E?
We had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it. But I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance to talk about this more broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he been saying this for 4 years? Show us. Yes, show us. Stop playing around.
I'll show you yours if you show me mine. I mean, what?
Nobody knows, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are.
Hey, I tell you what, as a libertarian, if Trump ain't paying taxes,
He said, I only pay that little.
props, man. Props, baby. Taxation. So he avoided getting stole from. He avoided the robbers. And we hating on him for it.
A phony witch hunt for 3 years. It started before I even got elected. They spied on
He
my
keeps
campaign.
doing the white power sign.
President
What's the white
should
power
ever have to
sign?
Go through what I went through.
Which one is
Let me
that?
just say this. Mueller and 18 angry Democrats and FBI agents all over the place spent $48 million. They went through everything.
Will you
I had,
pardon
including
Snowden?
My tax returns.
That's all I want to know.
And they found absolutely no collusion and nothing wrong.
Hey.
48 million. I guarantee you, if I spend $1
If you
million,
don't
we
collude,
can
you
do
have to
plenty more.
equip. Or that doesn't rhyme. I work on that.
Taxation is theft. There you go. Boom. Argentina knows taxation is theft.
And they say you get some of it, and you do live very.
They mad because Trump didn't get robbed from.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask.
He avoided getting stole from.
Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and.
Oh, that's the white power sign. This one? I thought that was like okay. Oh, it's W probably, and then P. W and P. Bet you that's what it's saying. I used to be in LA, man. All them gang sites. Like this is 18th Street.
Oh wow.
So they would just do this, right? Because then you put it together and it makes 18.
Oh.
And then you had
gang.
Then you had Florencia.
Gang.
So depending on what neighborhood you were in, you had to throw them signs. Otherwise, you get smoked.
I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line.
Boom.
Not a single thing. Number one. Number two, the guy who got in trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do because it never, ever, ever happened.
Never.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about what are you talking about? China. I have not.
Forgot China.
The only guy that made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
President Trump, let me ask my question to you.
Could I just one thing?
Very
His son didn't have a job for a long time. Was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this, $183,000, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president talk.
Isn't that conspiracy theory? None of that's been proven yet, has it?
They investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is for you. Since you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad.
They're all
This
crooked.
week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed, and they're all over the place. I mean,
Because he's the president. If there was a conflict of interest, somebody would have got on him. Somebody would have found it.
It's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's what it was. It was open to do. It was closed in 2015, I believe. And then I decided, because I was thinking about doing a deal in China like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided
It's got a population of like 30 billion people. It would be a good place to invest.
There you go. Open, and I close it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice president and he does business, I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference.
The difference is he's a businessman, so he has a reason to have dealings in other countries. This guy's been a politician for 47 years. What does he have doing business in other countries?
Politicianing.
Politicianing. You're making up words again.
No, that's what you do.
He's gathernizing them for politicianing.
Politicianing.
Pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules.
Okay.
Not like
There's international rules.
He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down. With China, up, not down.
No, we want to hear how you're going
Making
to penalize
sure that
China.
In order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all. Number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to.
So in other words, we'll just open the gates and let China stomp all over us again.
And when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention. They have to play by the rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and others, and he pokes his finger there at all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up only.
I don't understand what Biden is saying. Wasn't he just saying that he was being mean to China? Now he's saying he's a friend of China.
With us saying to China, these are the rules. You play by them or you're going to pay the price for not paying by them economically. That's the way I will run it. And that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs and a range of other things when we were president and vice president.
All right, and let's talk about North Korea.
That big, huge.
Okay, very quickly. Number
$1.5 from China to after spending 10 minutes in office and being
Mute his mic. Biden, you don't get
Number
this.
two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a year for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy bill, what specifically are you going to do?
Oh, you went after him on the conspiracies.
China pay. You said you're going to pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave $28 billion.
New sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers.
Taxpayers' money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money.
You know the taxpayers. It's called China. China paid
It's
and you know what they did to pay out? They devalued their currency and they also paid out. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our Greek farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel.
Biden, you need to get off of this topic, dude.
Okay. And now we have
On trade and the economy, he's gonna beat you down, dude.
There's a reason why he's made up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it.
Good boy.
He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's...
Here we go with that emotion again.
I love when he's talking to the camera.
If you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly.
Bringing those heart.
Sitting at the kitchen table with somebody beside you. Well, we can't get new tires.
Biden speaks into that camera.
Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage?
Everybody does that. Biden, it's called not managing your freaking household budget. Get the hell out of people's wallets.
They're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want to talk about North Korea. I do want to turn to 10 seconds.
Please.
Typical political political statement. Let's get off this China thing. And then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about
I'm not a
North
typical
Korea.
politician.
Okay.
That's why I got
Ooh, he's going after that base right there.
Subject of China. Let's talk around, sitting around the table. Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about
You can do better.
No, that right there, that statement right there is why he got elected. They're tired of politicians. He made a politician statement and Trump called him on it. That's exactly what his base wants to hear. I guarantee you, across the country, these rednecks all over going, yeah, that's right, that's right.
just 30 seconds here because we need to get on to the next.
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right
Barack.
at the beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was well over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with is North Korea. He indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him.
Nothing wrong with
Different kind
that.
of guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, oh, there's going to be trouble. He said, no, they're not, because he's not going to do that. And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul, millions of people would be dead right now.
President
We
Trump,
don't have
that's
a war,
30
and I have a
seconds.
good
Thank you.
relationship.
Vice President Biden, to you, North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat?
Because I'd make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal. Because here's the reason. I made it clear, and as a spokesperson of the administration when I went to China, that they said, why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea? I said, because North Korea is a problem, and we're going to continue to do it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue. What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off, and they are having much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula to be a nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to.
They agreed to that. Korea, not Kim Jong-un, but his dad, years ago. When Barack was president, he said, they said, Korea, you're not allowed to have nuclear weapons. Fine, we'll dismantle our nuclear program if the U.S. and its allies will quit pointing their missiles at us. Then we'll dismantle our nuclear program. Just stop pointing them at us. And the U.S. said no.
Do that.
So in other words, we're holding a gun to his country's head and telling him stop building a gun.
Right.
And then there he's like, okay, well, if you just quit pointing that thing at me, then I'll quit building my gun.
Right.
And the U.S. is like, no. Story, man.
Let's move on and talk about American President Trump. Okay, we need to
left
move on.
me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And
need
in
to
fact,
move
if
on
you
so that
remember
we
the
can
first
get
2
to all
or
of our
3 months,
questions tonight.
there was a very dangerous period in my first 3 months before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was a they left us a mess. And Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy.
American families. That was definitely a win on Trump right there.
Is healthcare, as you both know. Today there was
Getting tough on North Korea is not the answer, Joe.
And healthcare is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do?
No, they won't. How is that? It does. The insurance company's still going to take their money and insure them. What are they talking about? They're not going to lose their insurance. The insurance company is going to be like, oh, they overturned the Affordable Care Act. I'm not taking your money no more.
Come on, man. Fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance.
Stupid
I
arguments,
terminated it,
man.
It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision, run it as well as you can to my people, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have gone the other route and made everybody very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down, everything's down. Here's the problem.
What? No, that's a lie. I got to pay a premium now as a 100% disabled vet. You know that, right? Starting November, I have to. Starting January 1st, I got to pay for health insurance now.
Yeah.
100% disabled vet, I got to pay for insurance now. Thank you, Mr. Trump. And my wife's health insurance just went up again. Thank you, Trump. So good job, stud. Shut up. Freaking liars.
Better healthcare, much better. Will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to
Better healthcare?
Better healthcare.
Oh yeah, mine's still the VA. Just now I have to pay for it. Now I got to pay for the garbage government healthcare.
Child, things are gonna get easier. Things are getting brighter.
Always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care. Far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care. People that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families. Under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine, he won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on healthcare, and we're going to do even better.
Okay, Vice President Biden, yes, this is for you. Your healthcare plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question is,
Okay.
what is your plan if the law
All right,
is ruled
let's see it.
unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is.
Hey, another Twitter. Dark Ease, what's up?
What up, Dark?
That says that if you in fact do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid.
Got two Argentinas in here. Argentina supports Trump.
Okay.
I'm glad you can't vote.
Competition for insurance companies. That's
You voting for Joe
We're going to make sure
Jorgensen.
we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the.
I like competition.
Thirdly,
Is that what he said?
Yeah, I like that route of reducing. That's a way to reduce. That's a
Yeah,
perfect
competition.
way.
But neither one of them. That's not the. Joe Jorgensen is the only one that wants a competitive healthcare system.
Yeah, he just spoke facts right there. If they do that.
Under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None, zero. You can't do it in the ether. He's been talking about this for a long time. He's never come up with a plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same.
What was question one?
Plan that we waited since
Can
17,
we
18,
explain
19,
question
20.
one?
The fact I still have a few more
Yeah,
minutes,
what was
I'm
it?
getting anxious. The fact is that he's already cost the American people because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and economic spillover. 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing you of wanting socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your health care plan, which includes a government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government?
I say it's ridiculous. It's like saying that, we're the idea that the fact that there's a public option that people can choose, that makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I think healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable healthcare.
It's not a right. You do not have a right to somebody else's labor. That's called slavery.
As well as a whole range of other
That's
people
a
who are
public.
concerned in the medical field.
It wasn't a public choice. It was mandated that you have to have a. As far as employees, anyway, you have to have a.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the case either. It should be a benefit of.
Yeah.
because you lost your home insurance.
The argument comes down to whether health
We have to
is
provide health
a
insurance for
public,
people at an affordable rate.
what is
That's
it
what I
called?
do.
President
Excuse
Trump,
me, he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years, and it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was
Yep.
just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and it's not that he wants it. His vice president, I mean, she is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like he went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets a nomination, where he got very lucky to get it. And he goes to Pennsylvania and he says, "Oh, we're going to have fracking." And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the way you're handling this. I have to say.
By the way,
but somebody should ask the question.
You can ask-
He goes for a year. There will be.
We do have a number of topics.
No,
We're
no,
going
but
to get
that's
to.
a
We,
great question.
we're going to get to it. We're going to get to
The same thing with socialized
I have to
medicine.
respond.
Vice President, your response, please.
My response is people deserve to have affordable health care, period.
Get the hell out of the healthcare system and it would be affordable.
Proposal will in fact provide for that affordable health care, lower premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over
And who's going to pay for it?
$1,000 over 10 years to do it. And
And who's going to pay for it?
You can buy into the better.
Is it going to be affordable, or are we going to have to pay more for it? But it's going to
cheaper.
cost you more money, but we're going to make it affordable. How does that make sense?
Gotta pay if you want it cheaper.
He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody in healthcare.
Gotta give out that money if you want to save money.
He's talking about socialized medicine. And when he and
You shut up, because you're talking about the same thing.
he's talking about destroying your Medicare.
Ooh,
And destroying
Medicare is socialized medicine.
And this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor was a very liberal governor. They want to make it work.
Okay, let's hear
was
Vice President Biden
impossible to work.
respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's a
Biden
very
respond.
confused guy. He thinks he's running against somebody else. He's running against Joe Biden.
That's
Oh,
exactly
you know
right.
who I am.
Other people because
This is exactly right here. What Practical saying.
he's running against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to.
He works in the
Medicare.
insurance industry
This is
too.
the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact.
Exactly. It only went up when it was monopolized, and it was only monopolized due to government regulation. Government causes monopolies. The free market does not.
With no way to make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut Medicare. So I mean, the idea that Donald Trump.
Auto privacy
Social
nonsense.
Security and
Auto
Medicare?
privacy?
Come on.
He tried to get
That was the question he's talking about.
Security years ago. Years ago. Go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All right, let's move on. I'm going to move on. Mr. President, I have
That old Social Security, man. You don't touch your Social Security, right? Evolve says leave his Social Security alone.
That's a whole. I need a
The
video on that.
idea that the stock market is moving is his only measure of what's happening.
I need
Where I
to
come
enlighten
from is
some
Scranton,
people.
Claremont, that people don't live off of the stock market. Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street, $700
You
billion
take
more
their
dollars.
dollars, man,
$700
Biden.
billion more
He gonna
dollars.
penalize them,
Because that's his only measure. What happens to the ordinary people out there?
right?
What happens to them?
Where's my billion?
401ks are through the roof. Are through the roof.
They are.
He doesn't come from Scranton. That's like he lived there for a short period of time before he even knew.
We're going to move on to
And
the
he
next
left. And the
question.
people of Pennsylvania.
Let me move on to my next question,
They
gentlemen.
understand.
As of tonight, more than 12 million people are out of work. And as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need?
Where's that stimulus?
Because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get it. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the
He's
House.
not a dictator yet.
Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right, Mr. Vice President.
The Republican leader in the United States Senate said
Is
he
Pelosi
can't
up for
pass it.
election?
He will not be able to pass it.
Mhm.
He does not have Republican votes. Why ain't he talking to his Republican friends?
Let me follow up with you, Vice President.
We made it,
Biden, because let me ask Vice President Biden a question. You
Everything's partisan. That's why. That's why we need libertarians in Congress and Senate. It would end this partisan crap. Just 5 libertarians. Because if you split everything down the middle, the 5 libertarians would get to pick which legislation actually gets approved.
Sitting there, and look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get
Just throw this money around like this.
$145 billion to local
It's
communities.
my $800 billion.
The states have to balance their budgets and then have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they can keep their cities and
Cue
counties
the
running.
camera, look.
He will not support that.
Here
They
come.
have not done a thing for that. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter
The
with
bill that was
this guy?
passed in the House was a bailout of badly run, high crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of getting a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars to these kids. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally. We were going to take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it.
That's not
This
gonna
was a way
happen.
of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat cities and states.
I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states.
Oh, yes, you do. That is.
United States. And folks, every single state out there finds themselves in trouble. They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because teachers, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the
Ringing them heartstrings. They're going to fire you firefighters. Y'all need to get angry.
Firefighters,
You're not
not
gonna have
the
no
roads.
Your teachers. What about my roads? He ain't mentioned the roads.
Roads.
That's what they be talking about with Joe. If you elect her, you ain't gonna have no roads.
Because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bail them out too. We should be bailing them out now. Those small businesses, you got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help them do everything from organize how they can deal with their businesses being open safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation systems in. They need the help. The businesses as well as the schools need
Think
the
it's the
help.
right time to raise the minimum wage? What is he talking about?
Is not giving them any of the money.
There we go.
We are
They-
going to move on to immigration, but I want to get
We
your
have to
reaction.
help our small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont.
He's listening to Joe. That's what Joe talks about.
It's very important. We have to help our small businesses. How are you helping your small businesses when you're forcing wages? What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
Gotta fire them. It's absolutely true, Joe.
$15 an hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Is that still the case?
And I would consider it to an extent, but
In a
what I
second
really
administration?
like,
Biden's like, got him.
administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option. Look, everybody in different places. I know different places. They're all different. In some places, $15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15.
Okay, President Trump, thank you. Quick response, Vice President Biden.
2 jobs, 1 job, below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that
There's no firefighters or first responders making minimum wage, Joe.
immigration now, gentlemen.
94% of everybody on minimum wage is either first jobbers out of high school, living with their parents. They're not the breadwinners in the household, or elderly who are on fixed incomes, who don't need the job either.
So how will these families ever be
That's-
reunited?
Or students, that's like, so literally I think it's 4 or 6% are actually minimum wage earners are the major breadwinner in the family, are actually paying the bills.
Or actually the main head of household.
Over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we let people in.
The wall!
Legally, and they come in through.
But how will you reunite these kids with their families, Mr.
They
President?
built cages. They used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper. It was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
Do you have a plan to reunite the kids?
Yes,
He ain't answering
we're
it.
trying very hard.
He's like, I build walls, but they build cages.
They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this.
He didn't answer it.
Quick response and then another question.
He just did what another fallacy called
They separated them at the border.
let's
to
see,
make it a disincentive
tu
to
qua
come
quo,
to begin with.
tu quo qua,
They real tough. We're really
tu
strong.
quo qua.
And guess what?
That's what he
They
did.
Cannot. It's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents.
This is
They
tu
got
qua
separated
quo.
from their parents.
Tu quo
And it
qua.
makes us a laughing
Latin.
stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
They
to
did
that?
it. We
This was in 2014.
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about
Who built the cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about.
Good
What
job.
happened? Parents were ripped their
This
kids
is
were ripped from
argue.
their arms and separated.
This
And
is
now they
debate
cannot find
101.
over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are
He didn't have to answer the
nowhere
wall.
to go. Nowhere to go.
The wall's
It's criminal.
stupid.
He did a strategy.
The wall's stupid. He deflected it.
It's called tu qua quo. It's Latin.
Quid pro quo?
No, tu qua quo.
Tu quad quo?
Yeah, it means to. It's a form of arguing. It's a form of when you ask the question, instead of answering it, you say tu qua. You basically, well, they're doing this too. They're doing it too. It's basically tu qua quo. Qua quo or quo
So
qua.
why should voters trust you with an immigration vote?
TU.
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right.
Yeah, when I was getting my lawyer degree
I'll
from
be
it.
president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress.
Now I'm interested in how much I remember. Where's my
11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on the path to citizenship.
No, no.
The idea that they are being sent
I'm
home by this
questioning
guy and they
myself.
want to do that is they're going to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio
Quid pro
Grande
quo was like
River,
this
and
that I used for me.
and it's illegal. And you say,
This
"Oh, no,
is
Mom, leave me
it's
here.
a form of
They've been here. Many
A retort accusing an
Yup.
accuser of a
There you
similar
go.
offense
That's
or
fine.
similar. Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah,
people during this crisis.
that's
We
fine.
owe them.
All the logical fallacies I know, the different
He
ways to
had
argue.
8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I changed it without having a specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they
Catch and release, like fishing?
8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President Biden, your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. This is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United
My
States, you
grandfather
make your
sought
case
asylum here.
that
Did he?
seeking asylum
1904, yeah.
based on the
Oh,
following-
shoot.
on the following premise.
Ellis Island.
Under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of
47 years, Joe. You haven't fixed immigration. 47 years you haven't fixed immigration. This is one of them things that they just use every single election cycle to continue to talk about.
A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a
They're
very
bringing
bad
in the
person would come in.
rapists.
We would take their name. We have to release them into our.
All right, I know the next question is going to be on racism and injustice.
Oh, yeah, it's gotta be a racism,
injustice
yeah.
and stuff.
Ice out.
Here it
and
comes.
Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case.
Perry Mason.
When you say they come back,
Look at Joe's
they don't
face.
come back, Joe. They never come back. Only the really
Joe's like,
I hate to say this, but those
look,
people
twin brother.
like you, they might come back.
Okay, President, let's give Vice
Oh,
President Biden a chance to
I
respond.
was like, oh.
They don't know the law, Joe.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check it out. They don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move
But we
on
don't have
to
to worry about it because I terminated it, so we don't have to worry about
Let's
it.
move
Right.
on to the
Yep.
And you have
next section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right.
525 kids?
Section, which is
It's not very many, Joe.
And I want to
Not a
talk
lot of
about
kids.
the way Black and brown Americans
Here we go.
experience
You nailed it. How did you know this thing, man?
experience is something called the talk.
Evolve is on the debate committee.
Regardless of class and income, parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason
Here
other
we
than
go.
the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Speak to me, Joe.
I do. And my daughter is a social worker, and
Bringing them
she's
heartstrings
also
again.
Social worker.
She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work.
Oh, okay.
And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American,
It is.
was to learn more about what was going on. What I did, I
That's
never had to
similar
tell my
too.
daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. Each parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child when you're walking
I
down
was
the
taught
street,
that too, though.
don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street, making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, yes, sir, no, sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making $300,000 a year person or someone who's on
$300,000 a year.
institutional racism in America. And we have always said,
There's institutional racism in America because you two keep perpetuating it.
we have never ever lived up to, but we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first president to come along and says that's the end of that.
That's bull crap right there.
We have to provide for
This
economic
country.
opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to.
You're right. We've been moving towards inclusion, but it's in spite of what the government's been doing. It's because that's just how society is moving.
Laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot.
I don't like you planning everything for my stinking life, Joe. You need to take your plans and use them for your own family,
Same question.
not for me. I don't want them. I want to use my own plans.
Directly to these families, do you understand why these parents fear for their
Let's see
children?
what the racist does.
He's been there for 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994
47 years.
when he did such harm to the black community.
Yeah.
And they were
94 crime
he
bill.
called them super predators. And he said that. He said it,
You.
super predators.
Super predator.
And they kept never
Super.
living down. 1994.
And Joe's gonna come back. I'm a super predator, but you're a super spreader.
Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look,
I'm not
the
super
exception,
spreader.
Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception is Abraham Lincoln. Nobody has done.
Is that a real picture of you, KS? She was taught that in driving school in '95.
They tried because they had no chance
I
of
mean,
doing
it
it.
could be black, just good lighting or something. But that looks like a white lady to me.
It was not a pretty picture, and everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the Black and Hispanic communities, and then historically Black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and they said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding. And I did. 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money.
Trump's done more.
As I said, I think you need more.
Any president since JFK.
This is, I may never see you again because I got very.
I can beat him up on anything. I could beat Trump up on anything except criminal justice reform.
Okay, and we're going to talk about this here on record, but
He's done more since JFK.
My response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is,
Super predator thing.
Yeah.
after the crime bill in the law for a while,
He's like, I'm not
this is a guy who
even
said,
repeating it.
the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough
Oh!
people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park five innocent Black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes that were suggested. Look, and talk about.
That has nothing to do with legislation.
He did, in fact.
That's just personal bias.
He commuted 20
Nothing to do with legislation.
We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation.
Are you trying to separate himself from Barack Obama now? Not a good idea there, Joe.
38,000 people under our administration. And one of those things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories.
Oh.
And set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail.
I'm with you on that, Joe.
Change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
Why
Boom.
didn't you do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this, but you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
He still wasn't the president,
I ran
though.
because of
He's not talking decriminalizing drugs, though. They're still going to arrest you. They're just going to arrest you and then lock you up in a place called a rehab center that's going to look an awful lot like a jail.
Now you're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden.
It's almost time for voting time. Let's talk about those votes.
I hope he does look at me.
I put up a Twitter poll. Let's see how it's
Oh,
going.
okay. Yeah, I'll be getting into votes and
Trump
polls.
roaring.
You know my character. You know our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race.
What's the bigger dumpster fire tonight? Eagles versus Giants or the debate? The debate's winning.
Oh, shoot. They are playing.
Respond, and then we're going to have trouble.
It's true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician. So
Here's my poll, everybody. Go vote in it.
It's funny.
Oh, it's not just YouTube. It needs to be all of them.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please.
Because look,
Very
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties. I say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
Go!
Except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
This
That's
where you're
exactly what
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia.
Gentlemen, I want to stay on the issue of race.
It's Russia. He's saying Russia, like Marsha. Somebody posted Marsha. Russia. It's gonna be a meme. I guarantee it.
Power to millions of your supporters. You've said that Black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street.
I remember that. That was Ferguson, I think.
Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans who are concerned by that rhetoric?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience.
End qualified. You notice they're not going to talk about stuff like ending qualified immunity or ending civil asset forfeiture or ending no-knock warrants. Those are things that would be really significant changes. You know, ending the power of the police unions, stuff like that. That's like real solutions, man. They don't talk about real solutions.
Every single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made.
Now now they're both just throwing out the stupid memes and social media conspiracy theory crap that has absolutely no factual basis behind it. Now it's just degenerating into the typical nonsense we're used to.
The bacon cheddar potato skins. They're
potato skins.
Chips, dude. They're chips. No, but they're healthy. They're chips. Chips.
Potato skins. Chips. Actually, they're the skin of the chip.
Are we still on injustices and race?
Tens of thousands of black men, mostly in jail.
All right,
and you know what? They remember it because if you look at what's happening with the voting right now,
let me ask Vice President Biden.
Told you we're trying to make that transition into voting.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this context. Crime bill that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young black men.
Oh, really?
Of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, they're fathers, they're uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change the sense, and particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been
reading these guys like a book.
Oh yeah, the cocaine one. That's where they made crack cocaine sentences 10 times worse than regular cocaine because black people were more likely to be doing crack cocaine than regular cocaine. You don't remember that? The same time they came out with the 3 strikes you're out. So then they catch you doing crack 3 times, then you're in jail forever.
They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment.
That's a step.
What we've been trying to do. That's what I'm
So why don't you say you want to decriminalize all drugs there, Joe? Because that's what he's talking about.
That in fact it was a mistake to pass those
If
laws.
it's what he's talking about. That's what the libertarians say is we want to decriminalize all drugs because it's a medical problem. It's not a criminal problem. But exactly, he's not ever, neither one of them. That's the other thing. The war on drugs is another thing they're never going to fix. Immigration, the war on drugs, foreign policy.
Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action.
We got a lot of it done.
You're the same thing, Trump. You didn't get anything done either.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison.
Oh.
There were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost an election.
Yeah, practical. I know what you're talking about, man.
To win back that election and
Yep,
change his
it is. It's pop culture for sure. They need to police themselves. But they can't do it with police unions, man. It's like the mafia.
Tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with
Answer that.
You know why, Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President Biden, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
we had a Republican Congress.
Bah!
That's the answer.
Well, you
Okay.
gotta talk them into it, Joe.
All right.
You gotta talk them into it.
We're going to move on to our
Huh?
next section.
Like I did with
Is
criminal
climate
justice reform. I had to talk Democrats.
Nah,
into
he
it.
offered a valid.
We're
He
running
offered
out
a
of
valid.
time, so we got to get on to climate change, please.
It's
You both
another
have
logic.
very different
He's using all these
visions on
debates.
climate change.
Trump just did what you call special pleading. It's when
Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both combat climate change and support
when
job growth
special
at the same
pleading is
time?
another
Starting with
logical
President Trump,
fallacy.
you have 2 minutes
It's
left.
when you
We have the
it's
Indian trees program.
when you're given a question, when someone give you a question, and then you give them examples, you give them examples to debunk their argument. You give them examples, and then they come back with another statement, another exception onto your question. This is what Trump did. He said, "Hey, you haven't did it in 4 years," and then Joe Biden, he gave him a valid example. So then he come back with, "Oh, well, you should have talked them into it with another exception on it." So that's called special pleading instead of addressing that. Hey, all right, that's a valid.
So you're saying Trump's got some debate coaching?
Yeah, he's using them all. I'm teaching debate class right now. It's called special pleading. You guys played that really well. This is all my college lawyer stuff going up, man.
Until 2030.
Special pleading.
Back to a low standard. And we kicked in right away. It would have
It's a
destroyed
logical
our
fallacy.
business.
It's good. It's good though.
We have done an incredible
It's all
job.
debate 101, argument 101.
The Paris Accord was horrible. It was horrible.
That we've seen in many, many years.
Vice President Biden.
It's like his manager just reading the
Vice President Biden, 2 minutes to you.
CP 101.
Climate change, climate
What did I call
warming,
it? Special
global
pleading?
warming is an existential threat to humanity.
Special pleading is a logical fallacy.
And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world, we don't
Let me
have
see.
much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years.
Pleading from a defendant that does not deny the factual allegations of the other party, but argues that the defense is entitled to prevail as the justification of the killing.
Will put us in a position where
Justification.
we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able
That's
to
a
get
broad
both all the environmental
response
organizations as well as labor,
responsive
people worried
pleading
about jobs,
from a
to
defendant.
support my climate plan. Because what it does, it will create millions of new good-paying jobs.
Okay, read this. What Wikipedia says. Special
An
pleading.
informal fallacy where one cites something as an exception to a general or universal principle. This is the application of a double standard.
Yeah, it's
That's kind of what he did, yeah.
We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it that
I recognize
Joe hasn't done any good debate tactics.
I recognize all these argument tactics.
Joe hasn't had any good debate tactics.
I haven't seen
He's
her
a
debate.
47-year politician. You think he'd be able to debate?
and creating a significant number of jobs. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs, and it's going to clean the environment. Our health and our jobs are at stake. That's what's happening.
All
And
Joe
right
has
now,
been
by the
doing
way,
is
Wall Street firms indicated that my plan will in fact create 18.6
Public
million
good.
jobs, 7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street, and I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth than his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump, you're
Huh. He's learning a lot from Evolve.
$6,500 will be taken away from
Daughter
families
is in
under his
debate
plan.
for
That his
school.
plan is an
To
Oh.
pass the knowledge along.
Oh.
If you look at his plan, his environmental plan, you know who developed it?
Yeah, this is a way to get around.
AOC+3.
And all Joe's is using the same tactic. He's just trying
I
to.
mean, she's got a good
He
line of
reads.
stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate.
Whenever there's a
And
question,
they're all
you'll.
hopping through
That's
hoops
tough.
with AOC+3. Look, their real plan costs $100 trillion. If we had
Eagles
the
Giants
best
got a
team in the
vote.
history of our country for 100
Because you
years,
just put it up.
Yeah, I put it like that.
not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no windows,
Hey, that's
this
funny.
is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it can be good politically. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. I mean, and many other things.
What the heck is he talking about? Okay, I'm gonna show you some results from some of the polls.
So let's hear from the Vice President. I have a number more questions.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers.
I don't know where
you come up with your numbers either, Joe. Y'all both are liars, man.
This plan is endorsed by every major.
Armor of God didn't get one vote.
Not one.
Labor group, labor.
Bunch of
Because they
heathens.
know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know they're good jobs and getting
The future
us there.
lies?
And by the way, the fastest
Some kind
growing
of
industry in America
symbolism there or something?
is the electric, solar energy and wind. He thinks wind causes cancer, windmills.
Man, Akon is creating
Wind causes cancer. for real.
Akon the rapper, he is creating in Africa a $13 billion. He creating his own city. He's recreating Wakanda. He's recreating it. Dude, he's got architects
That's
and
obsessive.
he's doing it. It's insane for his people. I'm doing a whole video on it. It's insane how far he got so far. And wow. Like he's got blueprints, and then this city is only running on Acoin, like Bitcoin, Akon coin. It's Acoin. It's insane, dude. Like,
anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Oh, hey, what's up, Dark Sage? Welcome from Twitch.
I've learned all this and his blueprints, and then he's got $12 billion of Chinese gave him a credit of $2 billion. So, not billion, I mean. No, it was. I've got all my research down, but he got a credit for this construction. I was doing research on the video you told me about the philanthropists, and Akon came up number 1.
Oh, is that what you were looking at?
Yeah, I was doing
Wow,
that video.
Yeah.
I do rule out fracking.
Publicly denounced Woodrow Wilson and Jim Crow laws that disenfranchised African Americans for decades and the racist and vile things they did down south. To the African Americans, everybody seems to forget that Democrats are the Jim Crow party, so why not come out and announce that the party did decades ago? None of them have. Wilson was a Democrat who passed harsh Jim Crow laws. He was also a white supremacist and racist. Dr. Mr. Biden will not denounce him and the things he did. None of the Democrats have ever denounced anything, including, slavery and all that stuff with that thing. So I guess they don't feel like they have to.
Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania, he'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against it.
Fracking on federal land, I said, no fracking and or oil on federal
Let me ask this final question in this section, and then I want to move on to our final section.
It's got to be
Residential
voting
people
on
of color
votes
are much more
or
likely to live near
something.
oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who worry the plants near them are making them sick. Your administration has rolled back regulations on these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic, or Black, or Asian, it's 9 times greater the percentage gain than it was under, in 3 years, than it was under 8 years of the 2 of them, to put it nicely. 9 times more. Now, somebody lives, I have not heard the numbers of the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it. And I saved it again a number of months ago when oil was crashing because of the pandemic. We saved it. We got, say what you want about relationship, we got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Russia to cut back way back. We saved our oil industry And now it's very vibrant again.
All
And
right.
everybody has very inexpensive gasoline.
Vice President Biden, your response, and then we're going to have a final question for both of you.
My response
Thank
is
God.
that those people live on what they call fence lines. He didn't understand this. They live near chemical plants that in fact pollute, chemical plants and oil plants and refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and the Delaware River than there is any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school, turn the windshield over, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying them, it matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would you
question.
close down the oil industry? Or would you close down the oil
By the way, I would
industry?
transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's a big
transition.
statement.
It is a big statement
That's a-
because I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal. But
That's a big
Oh, Trump got him with that.
Because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. You won't give federal subsidies to the gas, to solar and wind. Why are we giving it to the oil industry?
We actually do
All right.
to solar and wind.
We have
That's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have one
basically what he's
final
saying is
question.
he's going to
President?
destroy, you know.
Let's put it over here so LeBron can look at look at Trump too.
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to reply, and I have to get to the final question. Vice President Biden.
It takes everything out of context, but the point is that we have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production, by 2050 totally.
All right. One
Is he gonna
final
get
question.
China to do it?
No, we're finished with
Is
this.
he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final question. We
No,
have to
I'm
move on
going
to
to
our
rejoin
final
Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All right, this is about leadership, gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you, Ms.
We have to make a country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, etc. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best.
I should have been doing this the whole time. I should have just kept Spike Cohen's Twitter feed on the whole thing.
Asian people with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything.
She actually asked a good question that I want to hear him say. It was entertaining. She asked, what are you going to say to the people that didn't vote for you?
All right. Vice President Biden, same question.
He didn't answer it, though.
During your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for
He didn't answer
I
it.
will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. At the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country. Decency, honor, respect, treating people.
So vote for Jo Jorgensen.
Make sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that. You haven't been getting it the last 4 years.
All right.
LP's getting in on it.
For a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really
LP's getting in on it.
Trump, former Vice President
You get a
Joe
bailout.
Biden.
You get a
Thank
bailout. You get a
for
bailout.
hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight.
Boy, oh boy.
November 3rd, don't forget
November 3rd.
Great night.
I would definitely be voting. Who won the debate? The moderator.
Final debate between the two
There you
candidates,
go.
much more substantive and a clash of ideas than we saw in the previous debate between the two candidates. It was as if the muting of the microphones worked, or each of them noticed where their standing was in the polls and knew what they had to do tonight. Gil, you called it. You said
Oh,
that this
she
would
got a
be
mess to match her. She cuts off some of her dress.
You're messing with Jill, man. That's Jill, I think. Joe Biden.
Supporters were saying that was not
Joe
good.
and Jill.
That was not good, and they were embarrassed for him. He came across really thought as a
He's the only one that's not with a mask on.
Here we go. Now we're just going to hear the bashing of Trump. Listen to the bashing of Trump for a minute. Then we'll go to Fox and listen to the praising of Trump. So, who won the debate? Donald Trump? Joe Biden? Or the Evolve with his debate logic?
Oh, shoot. I just recognized it. So.
Very well. The first question posed to both the candidates is, what would you do in the future to change how the trajectory of the COVID pandemic is going? President Trump did not answer that question.
He didn't.
Instead, he said, essentially, it's not his fault and that we're rounding the corner.
Yeah, this was an actual debate. I mean,
You watched the debate on a Libertarian and a hip hop reactionist guy's show. So I don't know how good those chemical plants might have had an effect there, KS.
That's funny.
And that's what he's got to defend.
I know, right? She cut off some of her dress. That's the best quote of the night. Evolve.
No,
Cut off some of her dress.
no, what's going on? Trying to find out what's good.
And this is the last major opportunity with everybody watching.
You can't just make that material.
And he needed more than just adequate. He needed to do something to change the dynamic of the race, and I don't think there was anything in tonight that changed the dynamic of the race. There were really interesting exchanges, both on COVID, the question of what to do, small business, minimum wage, North Korea, healthcare, the Obamacare versus the president's yet to be announced.
There you go. This ain't
Plan
important.
on healthcare. So there was quite a lot of substance.
So, John, do you think either one of them changed the dynamic of the race? If I was for both Biden supporters and Trump supporters, I would think my candidate did very well tonight in terms of addressing. I know there are many times Donald Trump didn't answer the question, but I think
So you gotta bust Trump out, man. That's what they do. Is they just drop these little bombs, boom, to try to trigger your brain, man.
What the political scientists will say is, unless there's a major gaffe, or for example, the way the president behaved in the first one, the polls don't change.
See how the president behaved in the first one. They're always jabbing at Trump. They try to make it seem like they're being nonpartisan or something like that. But but they're really just. Now watch. We're gonna hear the same thing coming from Fox News. You're gonna hear them throwing jabs at Biden or giving props to Trump.
You're right.
Oh, we haven't went to the. We watching that. What are all these people talking about? I wonder.
Taking selfies.
Oh, this is pre. Okay.
Tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you?
I guess Fox is just done. Fox is like, no news for you. Yeah, they're just doing replays. I guess they're not actually doing a show. Fox has got their own channel on cable, so they don't have to do all that, I guess.
Other key takeaways. The vice president, former
Why does
vice
she have a
president,
mask
clearly
on?
trying to make the argument that the president failed the American public on the pandemic.
It says
he
live,
also
though.
didn't take the bait when the president tried to challenge him, and then lastly making that quintessential argument at the end that he would be an American president for all, trying to appeal to a broad swath of voters. Nora?
Nicole Killian, thank you. CBS's Paula Reed is at the White House, and we saw the president tonight. While he did not interrupt as much as he did in the previous debate, he was on the offense. He was, and we will fact check him later on in this broadcast. And he also made it personal.
Fact
about
check?
Biden's family.
Fact checking.
He did.
Guess what? We here at Libertarian Dave, we ain't fact checking anybody.
And one just
Because we ain't got
texted me
time for
back
that.
saying the man stuck to the plan. And part of that plan was not to interrupt, to allow his opponent to speak, potentially make a mistake. The other part of the strategy was to bring up Biden's son, Hunter, put those accusations into the mainstream, get them in front of tens
He
of
definitely
millions
did that.
of voters. It appears on those 2 points, he succeeded. Paul Reed, thank you. John, you were going to comment on that.
Well, it's a very low bar when you say the goal tonight is not to do the disastrous thing you did last time.
Low bar.
That you've got to do better than
Guy is just bashing Trump, man.
But do you think that the voters care about Hunter Biden?
No.
Nope.
Biden didn't take the bait on that at all.
We have actually Reince Priebus, the former head of the Republican National Committee, and what Trump's
Trump traitor.
Good night, Vanessa.
Hey, good night, Vanessa. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we made the debate just a little bit more entertaining for you. We should probably just wrap this up.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Man.
This is my background. It's nice.
I see.
It's nice and peaceful. Stop
cool.
sharing the screen.
Boom.
You know what?
Get button up. Get button
up. Let's go back to the Oval Office. Let's go back to that.
Oh, better in the Oval Office.
We look pretty good in the Oval Office.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
At the big.
So how do you think the debate
I
went?
want to let you know.
I think it had
Have
more
come.
substance.
Change is here. Hope. And as we get more hope,
stick to the script, Mr. President.
As we get more hope, and I know that Donald Trump change have come. And one of the things is I've said
your Obama's not as good as your Trump.
My Obama, I like this system working.
It's all right.
Obama. Ooh, okay.
Crashing.
I hit a. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I thought there was a little bit more substance. There was a lot more substance.
I think they learned their lesson because they just got beat up on how horrible that first debate was. So I think they went back and re-strategized. I actually imagine that Joe and Donald are actually hanging out at lunchtime talking about how they're going to do this debate thing.
Yeah.
You know, it happens that way, people. You think they hate each other and stuff, but they really are. The Democrats and Republicans have been working together to grow this massive government juggernaut, debt-producing monster that we have for decades and decades. So don't make it. I mean, they are literally the same. I mean, a lot of people hate when I say that. You know, I've got some hate mail, but
there's just some issues that
they argue about how they're going to govern, but then they get in there and they basically do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Donald Trump passed more gun control laws than Obama did.
On some things, they just have to agree, but they make themselves seem different. But it just works out like the war on drugs. It works out. They both. No matter what they say, they both know that we don't want to legalize. We don't want.
Yeah, but what Biden was talking about was exactly that: legalizing drugs. He was talking about sending them to rehab. In other words, he's saying the same thing that the libertarians say. He's just putting it in a way that he thinks people will be able to swallow it.
Yeah.
Instead of telling the truth of the matter is you're either arresting people for it because it's illegal, or you're going to send them to a hospital because it's not illegal. So are you saying that you're going to legalize all drugs or not?
It's just we're not going to send you to jail.
Yeah. So you're still going to have a criminal record. So you're still going to be a felon, but you're still going to get arrested.
But you don't have to spend.
But you're not going to go to jail years. Yeah. So you're going to go to the hospital until you get better, and then they're going to send you to jail to finish the rest of your sentence.
He said they're not going to go to jail at all. If they get better, then they're good. That's their sentence.
That's not what he said.
I'm telling you what he said.
That's not what he said. You're talking about the architect of the drug war. The architect of the 3 strikes you're out. The architect of the 94 crime bill.
He said he don't want no one to go to jail for those drugs.
Oh, I'm sure they'll go to rehab. Once they get better, then they'll go finish their sentence in jail. So I mean, they didn't go directly to jail. They went to rehab first, and then from rehab they go to jail. What are they going to do? They got a sentence. If you don't decriminalize it, then they're going to have to serve a sentence because they're going to be arrested.
He's saying they're going to get time served for that.
He didn't say that.
But
quit putting words in his mouth.
His words was, "I don't want no one to go to jail anymore. You're going to go to the hospital."
So the only way they're going to do that is to decriminalize drugs, which is what the libertarians say.
What he's saying is that if a police,
but he's not talking about decriminalizing.
If a police, he's not saying if the police pull you over for an ounce or whatnot.
Okay, so if it's a criminal penalty, then what are they going to do?
You. I'll let Joe explain on his website.
What do you call that? The special pleading? Is that special pleading or is that twat quack quack?
That's a different technique that I haven't talked about. That's a different technique that I haven't talked about. But, no, that's a
next time I run for office, you're gonna have to be my debate trainer.
No, that's an easy one. We all know that. That was a straw man. So with straw man, you and when you can't argue the point, you try to minimize and you try to misrepresent what someone says in order to make it easier for you to refute or whatnot.
What was with the tiny windows?
Where was I?
It's the Oval Office.
Yeah, it's snowing now. It's pretty snowy.
It looks like
Anyway,
that's not straw man. Is whenever somebody gives you a very detailed argument, and then you take one little piece of it out and make your entire rebuttal for that one.
No, somewhat. No, straw man. It's more of it is when someone presents you with an argument or does something or says something. But instead of you replying with it, you misrepresent what they have said in order to make it easier for you to.
There's 220,000 COVID-19 deaths in the United States because of President Trump's horrible reaction and how he's dealt with corona or COVID-19 and blah, blah, and you come back with, well, Sweden had a better reaction and they didn't do anything. That's a straw man.
Yeah, somewhat.
I didn't really address what your argument was. I sort of deflected the answer somewhere else.
Like
straw man. Pick one piece out.
Like I come to you, Dave, I should be getting, you know what? All the amount of effort that I put inside of the Libertarian Dave podcast, I would like my name on Libertarian Dave and Evolve. I observe it's time for me. And then you come back with a straw man. And if you reply with something like, so you're more about fame, are you? You want fame? No, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Exactly.
I didn't say that.
That's a way better example. In the debate, Trump said something to Joe about building with tiny windows. I don't know what in the world that was about.
Yeah.
They said some weird things.
Yeah.
That's why it was actually better when they were interrupting each other. Then you couldn't understand what any of them were saying. Because understanding what they were saying still doesn't make it any more understandable.
It was. That's true. That's true. It was a lot of ununderstanding.
So
and
I
both of them didn't understand themselves at times. You see those looks. My bubble was like, what? Where you at? Wait, what is he saying? Is it my turn yet?
Right? Let's see how the poll's doing.
Yeah, sure. No.
Oh, the debate is still worse than Eagles versus Giants. Oh man, you guys going to bed? Oh yeah, it's getting late.
It is.
All right. I don't have a scripture available. I have something I'll talk about.
Yeah, sure. Well, guys, I'm gonna get going too. I'm gonna let you guys know. Man, this has been fun. As always, KIP, keep it positive. I will see you guys tomorrow. For all my evolvers that came over, thanks for coming over. Be sure to subscribe. So I'm here every Tuesday and whatnot and all that good stuff. Plus, we've got a 24-hour-ish stream coming up. It's gonna be fun.
Really?
Hey, Matthew, what's going on, man? Yeah, we're doing a 24-hour stream on Election Day, so you're definitely going to be part of it. Whenever you call in, I can just, or whenever you want me on, I'll just jump on my phone, so I'll be streaming at the same time. So, but either way, I can either do it from the computer or from my phone, whatever. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun. Apparently, Trump is the reincarnation of Abe Lincoln. I don't know what he's the reincarnation of. They keep saying he's reincarnation of all kinds of craziness. Oh, he's talking about tiny windows for climate change. I got you. Say no to tiny windows. Good night, KS. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. So just
leave a like.
Yeah, make sure you. Oh yeah, I forgot to put my little like comment thing. Yeah, make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Check me out on Twitter.
Don't leave a
whatever all that is. I didn't really have a scripture, but we were talking this morning about unequally yoked. Unequally yoked. So what it really means is like what we're referring to in the Bible is about when a believer marries an unbeliever, that you're unequally yoked, you know, that the believer will have to carry the weight for the non-believer. So then it's not a good idea. But it also applies in like a business relationship. For a Christian to enter into a partnership with an unbeliever is to court disaster. Unbelievers have opposite worldviews and morals. I don't know if they have opposite worldviews and morals, but they have different worldviews and morals. So this is what unequal yoke, when I think about it in a business concept, or like with business decisions and in a worldview type of way. This is what makes it difficult for Christians to be politicians, because it really puts you in an unequally yoked position within a government, because you standing on the Christian ground, I'm not saying you legislate Christian values. In other words, I'll never agree that we should be forcing God's will on people through legislation or law. I think the exact opposite. I think God's morality should be at a choice of a person. You have to choose to accept Christ, to accept God's will and God's morality in your life. I mean, that's a choice you have to make. And if it's forced upon you, then you're not going to achieve salvation. You're not going to go to heaven because you just obeyed the laws of man because they were against the law. You know, I really wanted to have a prostitute, or I really wanted to do drugs, or I really wanted to do this. And, you know, but you didn't do it because it was against the law of the land and not because you did God's will. So when you're a legislator or politician, I think of that unequally yoked thing as you're trying to, be an example of a godly or Christian person in a world of, basically politicians and lawyers. You could see how that unequally yoked would be. And unequally yoked comes from 1 Corinthians too. If you want to know the scripture that it actually talks about, is 2 Corinthians 6:14. Be not equally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness? So, I think that's why you don't see a lot of really, dedicated Christians and stuff in government, or, people praising God and stuff. And I think it's a political thing, I think people really could do it. I don't think people will really mind, as long as you're not pushing that legislation. You know what I mean? That's why it's so easy for me to be a libertarian Christian, because I just push freedom. I push liberty, and it's all over the Bible. God wants us to be free. The government's only job would be to keep us from violating other people's rights and other people's liberties. The problem is when when government starts trying to force morality on us and making us give to charity and stuff, that does nothing for you. The government taking your money and giving it to the poor does nothing for you. Where is your reward? You don't get no reward. Nobody gets a reward for that. When you give to the poor, then God sees your generosity and you get rewarded for that. This is why government and God they butt heads. So that's my scripture for today. I really need to go. It's getting late. I need to go see my kids off to bed. Appreciate y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the debate chat. Long stream. I hope you enjoyed our play-by-play of the debate. And thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to love your neighbor. Remember, that's the second most important thing according to Christ. Love God and love your neighbor. And KIP, keep it positive. God bless you. Peace. Thanks, practitioner.